Okay, it's 7 o'clock. I'd like to bring the April 7th Planning Commission meeting to order. Could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Could we please have the roll call vote?
Scott Hansen,
Here.
Ben Terrell,
Here.
Lisa Lewitsky,
Here.
Ray Whitaker,
Here.
Ed Kemp,
Here.
Tim Catron,
Here.
Zachary Dillinger,
Here.
Frank Holmes,
Here.
Brian Ross.
Here, thank you. Have the proper notices been posted and sent?
They have.
Okay. What are your wishes for the April 7th agenda?
Move the agenda. Second.
We have a motion support. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. What are your wishes for the March 3rd minutes?
Move the minutes.
Support.
We have a motion and support to move the March 3rd minutes. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Okay, before we go into public comments, I'm gonna ask staff to read, our rules on how we go over, public comments and discussion on our conditional use permits.
The document I'm about to read was available for everybody to pick up. Hopefully there were enough copies. I'm just going to read it as a reminder for everybody how to conduct yourself at the Public Planning Commission meeting. Sign in. There's a sign-in sheet at the front table. Everybody who attends, even if you do not plan to speak, may sign in. Print your name and address clearly. Call to order and pledge of allegiance, board discussion, minutes, etc. Open public comment period. This is for speakers who wish to comment on items not on the agenda. The chairperson will announce the case. Staff person reads the staff report and answers questions the board may have. The applicant is then invited to speak. The public is invited to speak after the applicant. First speakers are in favor, then speakers opposed. Each person may speak once. The chairperson has the option to invite repeat speakers or rebuttal from the applicant if everyone has had an opportunity to speak once. The chairperson will close the public portion of the meeting and the commissioners will hold an open discussion amongst themselves. They may ask the applicant questions. No public speakers are permitted to speak after the public portion is closed. The commissioners will come to a decision regarding the case and issue that decision in the form of a motion. A record of the meeting is taken as minutes by staff. The minutes are available from the Department of Construction Codes and Planning and Zoning. The following guidelines to participate are effective. Step up to the podium, wait to be recognized by the chair, state your name clearly and address, state your questions, comments, or concerns. Comments should be limited to information and concerns not yet heard. Please do not repeat the same concerns and issues that have already been stated. Comments should be made clearly and with respect for the commissioners. Please no foul language, yelling, or rude personal comments. Maximum speaking time is 3 minutes. I was asked a question recently about could somebody from the public give somebody else from the public their speaking time? Yes, the person that wishes to donate their 3 minutes to somebody else will get up and say who they're donating their 3 minutes to. And this also goes for any of the written comments that I have received that I will also be reading into record. If you've submitted something in writing, unless you have something new to add, please get up and speak. But if you don't have something new to add, any comment that I've received as of 7 o'clock today will be read into record by myself. And that completes, Chair.
Thank you. When you are ready, if we could have the staff report on CU-3-1-26, please.
This is a request by William Woods and Stephen Woods for a conditional use permit to operate a construction contractor's establishment and storage of heavy equipment, timber and firewood sales and storage per zoning ordinance section 14.29 at 3388 West Grand Ledge Highway, section 1 of Roxanne Township. The property is 8.17 acres in size. It is zoned limited agricultural and surrounded by limited agricultural. The land use and site use history is residential and agricultural, as is the surrounding. The soils class is essential. West Grand Ledge Highway is a major road. Right on the front of the staff report, under staff comments, I recommend a new site plan be submitted for a couple of reasons. These are the new site plans that were already submitted by Mr. Woods. The applicant requests to operate the construction contractor's establishment and storage of heavy equipment. Specifically, they will store and sell timber and firewood and storage of trucks and trailers and equipment. Hours of operation are proposed from Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. There are 5 employees. The employees will be on site from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. as needed. The applicant proposes to construct a 100 by 75 hoop barn and a 150 by 100 pole barn for the operation of the business. The construction of the hoop barn is planned for this year. The pole barn will be constructed within the next 10 years. There is an existing home located on the property. The applicant states, once renovated, I will live in the existing home and use one of the rooms in the home as an office until the proposed shop/office pole building is constructed. For the applicants, the Bell and Allen Drain is located to the north corner of the property. The applicant states there are area on the property where the FEMA floodplain is located. However, they will not be constructing any of the proposed buildings or driveways in the FEMA floodplain. There is an existing well, septic, and drain field located on the property. The restroom is in the home and operational and will be used by employees. The applicants state when the proposed office shop pole barn is constructed, they will work with the Barry Eaton District Health Department to obtain approvals to hook existing systems or construct new if needed. The applicant has a contract with Granger for trash services. Items to be stored on site include trucks, semis, and pickups, trailers, boom trucks, skidsters, logs, skidder, gravel, topsoil, logs, and firewood. There is one existing driveway to the site. It is paved but does not have curb and gutter. The next comment says that they're proposing an additional driveway, but they are no longer proposing that additional driveway because it was not approved by MDOT. You'll hear that later in MDOT's comments. The remainder of the driveway and parking areas are outside of the right-of-way will be gravel. Traffic to the site includes 15 to 20 vehicles per day. This includes employee vehicles and company vehicles. Parking is proposed for 10 vehicles. The parking area will be lit but not paved. Supplies are brought to the site by semi-trucks, 2 to 4 a day for logs, but could be less, and light delivery trucks, company box truck, twice a day. The applicant states this request should be granted because I have operated this business for 4 years for my parents' property in Delta Township without any complaints. I would like to move my already established business to my property and operate it in compliance. This business is my sole source of income. I do not expect any impacts on the surrounding area. My property is surrounded by a farm field. Site plan review comments were received from the Drain Commissioner's office. It was approved with a comment before the hoop barn and pole barn are constructed. You will need to apply first to a erosion sedimentation control permit through the Drain office. The Eaton County Road Commission commented, I reviewed the CUP application and find no impact to the Eaton County roads. I have no objection to the CUP. MDOT commented, thank you for sending the site plan review for CU 326-1 Woods to MDOT for review. On page 7, the answer to the question about the additional driveway being created or used was marked yes. Per previous conversations with Mr. Woods was informed that an additional driveway would not be allowed. The current driveway would need to meet our minimum commercial driveway requirements of being paved and 15 foot wide. For clarification, Mr. Woods submitted his conditional use permit application before speaking with MDOT. So, included in the staff are the Barry Eaton District Health Department approved without comment and Roxanne Township approved. Included in your staff report is zoning ordinance section 14.29, construction contractors establishment and storage of heavy equipment. The master plan for the property is agricultural preservation, which lends to limited agricultural, which is what the property is zoned. Staff comments. A construction contractor's establishment and storage of heavy equipment is a use permitted in a limited agricultural zone district with a conditional use permit. Per the application, the applicants propose to construct a 100 by 75 hoop barn this year and a 150 by 100 pole barn within the next 10 years for the operation of the business. Both structures are reflected on the site plan and meet setbacks. The applicants are aware of MDOT site plan review comments, which is why we now have a new site plan showing that that driveway is no longer being used, and they'll be upgrading and utilizing the existing driveway. Per Article 14.29, a construction contractor's establishment and storage of heavy equipment must be on a parcel of land 1 acre or larger in size. The property is 8.17 acres. The zoning ordinance states fencing may be placed on both sides and rear of the property or storage area if the planning commission specifies the type and location of such fencing. The ordinance also states the site may require a buffer yard to act as a visual shield or to block noise, light, etc. Additionally, it states no building material, scrap, or equipment other than heavy equipment shall be stored outdoors in any configuration higher than the surrounding fencing or screening. The Planning Commission may wish to review the site plan to determine if any fencing or additional buffering is needed. Parking requirements per the zoning ordinance are 1+1 for each employee, not to include spaces designated for the outdoor storage of equipment and vehicles for the operation of the business. Per the application, there will be 5 employees. The applicant has proposed 10 parking spaces, which are shown on the site plan. A sign is not shown on the site plan. Was not shown on the site plan. The sign is now on the site plan. They are proposing I think it got cut off in my copy, a 24 square foot sign with a maximum height of 8 feet, which does comply with the zoning ordinance requirements. The Planning Commission may use sections 9.3.6 and 14.29 included in this staff report to determine if this business meets ordinance requirements and what, if any, conditions may be required. And that completes the staff report.
Does anyone have any questions for staff?
Just one. So the part labeled 6 on the site plan, that's the sign.
That is the sign, and if you look on the site plan, it is up in the right-hand corner. 24 square foot monument sign, maximum height of 8 feet, located at the right-of-way, and that does meet the standards of the zoning ordinance.
Any other questions for staff? Seeing none, if the applicant would like to come forward and add anything if they'd like, or
My name's William Woods. I live at 422 Pleasant Street, Grand Ledge, Michigan, 48837. I don't have anything to add to that. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take them.
are there any questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone like to speak in favor of the application? Anyone like to speak in opposition to the application? Seeing none, we'll close the public portion of the hearing and deliberate amongst the commissioners. Any thoughts, any questions? Did you guys go by there? I know that you two were like on, what are your thoughts on it as far as fencing or buffering?
Like it says, it's in the middle of a farm field. I don't see what would be any need for it. That's my personal opinion.
Didn't look like it, but I didn't see.
Yeah, no, I don't see where it would be necessary.
Any other thoughts, questions?
I'll move CU 326-1.
Support.
We have a motion to support. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote, please.
Scott Hansen,
Yes.
Ben Terrell,
Yes.
Lisa Levitsky,
Yes.
Ray Whitaker,
Yes.
Ed Kemp,
Yes.
Tim Catron,
Yes.
Zachary Dillinger,
Yes.
Frank Holmes,
Yes.
Brian Ross.
Yes.
Mr. Woods, in a couple of weeks, you'll receive your actual conditional use permit in the email. I will need you to sign that and send a copy back to me, and then you'll be all set. Thank you.
Okay, staff has caught their breath. If we could have the staff report, CU-10-25-9, please.
Before I actually give the staff report, I'm going to give the Planning Commission a rundown of what's in front of them because the staff report is not the first document in front of you. Since writing the staff report, and I'll read these items into record, the applicants of the quarry have submitted proposed self-imposed conditions of the conditional use permit. I will read them as a part of the staff report. If a Planning Commission member chooses to make a motion for these to become effective, it does need to be a part of your motion that they are conditions of the conditional use permit. The next document that you have in front of you is a smaller scale site plan. I did not require the applicants to print a larger site plan because this is only showing the required 750 parking spaces necessary for the occupancy load of 3,000 persons on the island. The next document that you have is a large site plan that does so with attached, now, it's in the staff report, so it'll be read. But once the query applicants were receiving concerns from neighboring property owners, this was their way of trying to address some of those concerns, and there's an explanation of what changes they made or improvements they made to that staff, or to this site plan. It includes the berms and trees and things of that nature. And normally, I do not send the traffic impact study, but I did print that for the Planning Commission. That is of the purview of the Road Commission and MDOT, and they have reviewed it. I will be addressing a meeting that staff had with the applicants, MDOT, and the Road Commission yesterday. It was a great meeting, but a lot of the neighbor concerns do address the traffic study, so I thought it prudent to give that to the Planning Commission. And now we have the staff report. Right. Request by the Quarry LLC for a change of conditions of an existing conditional use permit which allows for the operation of a commercial rec facility, rental venue for weddings, events, etc., as defined in zoning ordinance section 5.3.3C at 3659 East Clinton Trail and 710 South Perky Highway, section 15, Eaton Township. Specifically, the requested change is to allow for construction of an additional building and sledding hill and to relocate the cottages to another location on the property. The site is 240 acres in size. It is zoned limited agricultural. It is surrounded by limited agricultural zoning. The land use is residential and commercial recreational. It is surrounded by residential, agricultural, and a county park. Site use history is residential and surface mine. The site use history is surrounded by residential, agricultural, and a county park. The soils class for the property is essential and non-essential. That is also surrounding. East Clinton Trail is a major road. South Perky Road is not a major road. Applicant statement. The applicant requests a change of conditions to their existing conditional use permit, CUP, which allows for the operation of a commercial rec facility. They state, the business will be in operation 7 days a week. Hours for the events may be from 7 a.m. to midnight with music ending at 11. Cleanup for staff is expected to be from midnight to 2 a.m. Employees, up to 30 employees, will be on site during the hours of operation and for cleanup after events. Buildings. Buildings proposed to be constructed are as followed. A new 60 by 180 Rick House tasting room, see page 6 of the site plan. 45 by 60 community barn constructed, see page 4. Silo structure, outdoor gathering space, see page 4. 24 up to 1,000 square foot cabins, see page 2, beginning in the spring of 2026, continuous until complete, location moved from previous approval. Two-story, 18,200 square foot building, see page 3, foundation is under construction. A 15 by 40 two-story amphitheater, see page 6, begin construction in fall of 2026. A 19 by 24 restroom building, see page 6, begin construction in fall of 2026. A 60 by 80 two-story pole barn with a second floor residence, see page 5, begin construction in fall of 2026. Existing buildings to be used are as follows. On page 4, the existing home will be used as a short-term rental only, limited to 7 to 10 consecutive days. 2 existing pole barns will be used for storage for the business. Page 5, existing home will be used as a smaller event venue space. In addition, it may be used as a short-term rental, limited to 7 to 10 consecutive days. The existing pool and pool house will be available for use for the renters of the home. Public health and safety. Page 4, there is an existing well, septic, and drain field for the existing home and community barn. Page 2, we are aware we will need to apply for a site evaluation from the Berry District Health Department to install new wells, septics, and drain fields for the proposed cabins. We will have one shared system for all cabins. Page 3, we have begun working with the Berry District Health Department to install a new well, septic, and drain field for the event venue hall. Page 6, we are aware we will need to apply for a site evaluation from the Barry Eaton District Health Department to install a new well, septic, and drain field for the proposed restroom building. Page 5, there is an existing well, septic, and drain field for the use of the existing home. We are aware we will need to apply for a site evaluation from the Barry Eaton District Health Department to install a new well, septic, and drain field, or look at the potential of sharing systems with the new barn. Solid waste removal, we will contract with a waste hauler to provide dumpsters on site to remove trash. We will provide a copy of our signed contract once we have the company secured. Storage, we do not plan to have any outdoor storage. Items to be stored on site and in building include, but not limited to, mowers, maintenance equipment, decorations, tables, chairs, etc. Transportation, entrances and exits to the site. There are currently 3 existing driveways to the site, one off Clinton Trail, one off from Stewart Road, and one off from South Perky Road. The existing driveways will be used as followed. Page 1, South Stewart Road. This is an existing driveway used as truck entrance for the surface mine. We will keep this driveway to be used as a service entrance only. This driveway will be gated. Eaton County Central Dispatch, local police, and fire will have access to this drive at all times. This driveway does not have curb and gutter. The driveway is not paved. Page 1, East Clinton Trail. This existing driveway was used for the surface mine operation. This driveway will serve as the main public entrance to the site. There is curb and gutter. Right-of-way of this entrance of the driveway is paved. The existing driveway will be converted to a private road. Page 5, South Perky Road. This is an existing driveway access to the home. This driveway will be used for the rental of the home on this property and employees only. It will not be used for general entrance to the rest of the venue. The driveway does not have curb and gutter, but is paved. The driveway will also be used by fire and emergency services lane. Anticipated traffic. Page 4, Community Barn. Our anticipated traffic is less than 50 vehicles per event. The parking plan is shown on the site plan. 59 by 20 parking spaces will be provided. The parking area will be gravel with the exception of the accessible parking spaces, which will be paved. Page 5, after complete construction of the cabins, we anticipate up to 2 vehicles per cabin for a total of 48 vehicles. The parking areas will be gravel. Each space will be 9 by 20. Page 3, the main event venue will be constructed to accommodate up to 800 persons. We have parking planned for 222 vehicles. The parking area will be gravel with the exception of the accessible parking spaces, which will be paved. Each space will be 9 by 20. With the exception of each space will be 9 by 20, my apologies. Page 5, the parking provided for the smaller venue is up to 32 spaces. Accessible parking spaces are available on the paved area near the home. Each space will be 9 by 20. Existing conditional use permit, CU 923-4, allows for the operation of a surface mine from all properties included in this application. Crandall Brothers Trucking has not mined the property since the spring of 2025. We are actively working on the reclamation of the property with plans to be complete by the spring of 2026. The reclamation of the property will not affect any of the proposed uses or structures. Explain why this request should be granted. An event venue of this size does not exist in Eaton County. We do not anticipate any negative impacts on public facilities, school, police, fire, etc. We do not expect negative impacts on our surrounding property owners. We plan to be good neighbors, which is why we are proposing to keep the existing berms that were installed for the operation of the surface mine. We believe the proposed use of the property will have less of an impact on our neighbors. They will no longer have issues with dust and noise from the operation of the mine. Trees will be planted for our tree farm to act as an additional buffer for our neighbors located from South Perky. In addition, we are constructing a new berm along Perky Road around the new Eaton Township property. This event venue should increase the surrounding property values. It will bring people to Eaton County, increasing the economy of Eaton County. We believe this venue will bring in more taxable value than the construction of single-family homes. We are excited to host many community events in the very near future. This application was sent out for site plan review. The following comments were received. Eaton County Drain Commissioner did not comment. Eaton County Road Commission commented. He also gave an additional comment. I've reviewed the above-mentioned CUP and recommend the CUP require the following. The driveway off from Stewart Road be improved to commercial driveway standards and a permit applied for applied for and secured from the Eaton County Road Commission. We have no record of a driveway permit being issued for this driveway. I also recommend the CUP specify this is a service driveway only and the permitted use of the driveway. The driveway off from Perky should not be permitted to service more than the home and employees. It is shown on the site plan to serve 32 parking spaces for the amphitheater, which should be served from the main driveway. That issue has already been corrected. Staff has spoken with the road commission to let them know that that parking area is only for the rental of that home and the employees, and that the driveway will be gated for an emergency access entrance as well. The driveway off from Perky should be improved to commercial driveway standards and a permit applied for and secured from the Eaton County Road Commission. This is currently a single home on a residential driveway. And then item 4, additional right-of-way to be dedicated along Stewart Road. Stewart Road is a primary road and provides additional public right-of-way for facilities that typically follow commercial developments. In addition, Mr. Hannes, after our meeting yesterday, submitted the following comment. Some of them are repeated, so I do apologize. Commercial driveway permit shall be obtained for the Perky Road driveway, a gate to be placed to prevent non-emergency traffic from entering or exiting the main site from Perky Road driveway. Justification for the 32 parking spaces off from Perky was already given, and the road commission is fine with. A fence or other barrier shall be placed along Perky Road to deter roadside parking for access to the sledding hill. Stewart Road driveway shall be gated and used for emergency maintenance vehicles only. The traffic impact study shall include the impacts of Stewart Road Island Highway intersection. Special attention shall be given to the safety at this location as has a history of serious crash industries. The current traffic study does not include any use of Stewart Road. During our meeting yesterday, the road commission would like to see people leaving the quarry to be able to use Stewart Road because it's a Class A road. They don't want them to bypass Stewart Road to go up to Flanders, which is not a Class A road, and utilize that to maybe take Island. So the intersection of Stewart and Island will be included in the new required traffic study from MDOT and the Road Commission that will be performed in June. But that was included as a requirement of the road commission, not the applicant. The building official commented, all proposed structures in Sledding Hill are required to comply with the 2021 State of Michigan Building Code. As such, all structures are required to be designed by a licensed design professional, architect or engineer. With proper plan review, permits, and inspections, there are no concerns. MDOT commented, their comment at the time of writing the staff report was, we are reviewing it and may still have some comments to come regarding the driveway. Again, great meeting, lasted about an hour, with 5 members from MDOT and 2 members from the Eaton County Road Commission. I'm going to read their comment and then I'll tell you about the meeting. MDOT site plan review comment. At this time, MDOT requires a left turn lane on eastbound M50 and a right turn taper for westbound M50 at the site driveway. Final permit requirements and conditions of the permit are dependent upon the updated traffic study. One condition for this site is that future permit applications would need to be submitted regarding large events that would require law enforcement supervision to be submitted at least 2 weeks in advance of the event for review and approval. So the end result of this meeting, and MDOT did make it clear throughout the meeting that they really would like the left-hand turn lane and the taper. However, they also want a updated traffic study that is taken at a time where maybe M50 and the use of the quarry, M50 would have the most travel while the quarry may be open. Their concern is if people are turning into the quarry, there may be a backup with no turn lane for people turning in, depending on oncoming traffic. And then when people leave, there may be a backup that way too. So that's why they're requiring this. But they're also requiring the updated traffic study to be done in June or July. And their decision may change based on that traffic study. Again, Island and Stewart will be taken into account with that traffic study, and that is at the request of MDOT and the Road Commission, not the applicants. In the event permit that they're talking about, MDOT, anytime that there's a road closure, so if if the applicants have police hired to direct and enforce traffic, there may be a road closure or maybe some sort of backup. MDOT requires that permit to be submitted for any event of that nature that requires a road closure on their website 2 weeks in advance. So that's what they're referring to for that permit. Charlotte Fire Department commented. I'm sorry, Berry Eaton District Health Department first. The application for the proposed event center, the Quarry, has been reviewed by our department, and the completed application response is attached. We are approving this from our end to move forward with obtaining the necessary well and septic permits. We will continue to be in communication with Eagle, also to discuss any permitting necessary through their agency. The reason for approval of the application is stated as follows. As stated in the application, the applicants are aware of the requirements of obtaining all necessary well and septic permits through the Berry Eaton District Health Department. The applicants are currently working with the Berry Eaton District Health Department to obtain necessary permits for Phase 1. Recommended conditions are continue to work with both Berry Eaton District Health Department and Eagle Department to determine and apply for all necessary permits as the project continues to move forward. Charlotte Fire Department has commented. It is the same comment as the last application. I'm going to emphasize the changes that they made because some of the requirements that they had required back in October, they've removed, and some of the things have already been complied with. We have reviewed and approved the application as presented. However, to ensure compliance with the application fire and safety life codes, the following conditions are required to be incorporated into the final site plan. Number one, occupancy classification. Both the 775-foot and 60-foot pole building and the 18,000 square foot main event rental building are classified as assembly occupancies. This requires engineered drawings for sprinkler systems with the fire department connection, FDC, along with the fire alarm notification system, riser room located. Drawings must be submitted to and approved by the Charlotte Fire Department before issuance of the building permit through Eaton County. The additional information received for this application specifically is the fire department has already done a final inspection of the pole barn building. There were no issues with the building during the inspection and anticipate that the same results would be obtained during the inspections of the other buildings on the property. The existing building that was constructed does have a sprinkler system in it and also has a fire alarm system. So it not only meets the building code, but it meets the fire safety code. Number two, fire alarm monitoring. The main event rental building's fire alarm notification system must be monitored 24/7 by a third-party service. Number three, emergency gate access. All gates on the property must be equipped with either a knockbox or knockbox padlock for emergency access. Any automated gates located on private drives must also be equipped with a knockbox gate or knockbox switch part number 3502. Number four, driveways and addressing. All driveways must be engineered and constructed as private roads per Eaton County zoning standards. Each private drive must have a unique name and all buildings must have separate addresses clearly visible from the street as defined in Section 3043 of the International Property Maintenance Code. Item 5, directional signage. The applicant's inclusion of directional signage is appreciated as this will greatly assist first responders during an emergency. Item 6, fire lane. A designated fire lane must be constructed off the Perky Road entrance to provide fire apparatus access to the island. This lane shall be located north of the existing house and secured with a gate at Perky Road. See attached marked up drawing. Their new and updated comment from the fire department. After reviewing the site plan with the developers, this fire lane from Perky Road is no longer needed. The house located on Perky Road shall serve as the designated fire lane. Item 7, walking with amphitheater. The gravel walkway to the island as well as the gravel path surrounding the island must be widened to a minimum of 20 feet to meet fire code requirements for the fire lane width and to allow for anticipated occupancy load for the island. Their updated comment, this requirement has been met and confirmed during plan review process. Item 8, fire lane amphitheater. A separate pathway on the same bridge needs to be constructed to allow for emergency vehicle and personnel to access in case of an emergency. The fire lane can be covered with gravel if a hard base is built. Lane must be a minimum of 10 feet wide. This will allow an emergency response to the island when attendees are leaving the island on the designated gravel path. Number 9, FDC location main event building. The FDC connection for the main event rental building must be located adjacent to the loading ramp for ease of access for fire personnel. See attached marked up drawing. Item 10, hydrant placement. The fire hydrant must be installed in the cul-de-sac area outside the main event rental building. It shall be supplied from the same water source as the building's fire suppression system and connected to the same fire pump. See attached drawing. An updated comment is that this has been verified on the new site plan submitted. Item 11, occupant load. Island area. The current single-point access to the island results in the allowable occupant load of 3,000 people per IFC Section 1030.6.3.08 factor. Expanding the gravel path to 20 feet will provide 240 inches of egress width, which supports this calculated occupant load. Item 12, fire lane pole building. A fire lane is required adjacent to the 75 by 60 pole building in accordance with IFC 503.1.1. The lane must allow access within the 150 foot of all portions of the building to be 20 foot wide and to be constructed to the fire code specifications. See attached drawing. Item 13, turn radius. The cul-de-sacs near the 24 small rental units must provide a minimum turning radius of 96 feet per Appendix D of the IFC D102.1. Item 14, boat launch. The Charlotte Fire Department is requesting that a boat launch be installed near the Stewart Road service entrance. The boat launch can be of minimal design to allow for a small fire rescue boat to be launched in the need of emergency. See attached marked up drawing. These conditions are necessary to ensure compliance with the International Fire Code and related standards and to provide safe access and facilities for the public. Thank you for your support and attention to these matters. Please feel free to contact our office should you require further clarification or additional information. Eaton Township had not commented at the time of the writing of the staff report. They have since commented. Eaton Township recommends approval with conditions, and those conditions are as follows. The finding of facts. The board finds that the proposed use is recommended for approval as conditioned will be compatible with the surrounding land uses and the character of the area consistent with the Eaton County Special Land Use Standards. The board finds that the concerns raised regarding traffic, noise, light, and intensity of use are directly related to the standards of the zoning ordinance and can be mitigated through enforceable conditions. The board finds that the scale of certain events and activities, if unregulated, could result in excessive traffic, unsafe conditions, and nuisance impacts to the neighboring residential properties. The board finds that the imposition of conditions is necessary to ensure that there will not be hazardous, disturbing, or detrimental to adjacent properties. Recommend approval for new 60 by 180 Rick House tasting room with the condition that any event or gathering exceeding 3,000 or more individuals shall require separate approval as a special use permit by the Planning Commission, and such review shall evaluate traffic, parking, public safety, and compatibility with the surrounding properties. Item 2, moving location of cabins with a condition that the short-term rental or lodging on the property shall be buffered from adjacent residential uses or zoned properties by a privacy fence, landscaping, or a combination thereof in accordance with the intent of the zoning ordinance to minimize noise, lighting, and visual impacts. And then item 3, sledding hill. I did have a conversation with the Eaton Township clerk and supervisor that this board could not require a condition to require another special use permit in order for an event to be held there. So they are aware of that, but this is what was discussed in their public meeting. Staff was present at the request of the supervisor. That is Eaton Township's comments. Eaton Conservation District. Comments submitted from the Eaton Conservation District Board of Directors regarding CU 1025-9, the Quarry LLC. Recommend denial for the following issues. The applicant has not provided water withdrawal volumes for the on-site water supply wells within either its application nor to the Barry Eaton District Health Department. Personal communication on 3/19/26. Without this information, it is impossible to assess the potential impact of surface water bodies, lakes, streams, as well as wetlands in the vicinity of the proposed development. Item 2, the applicant has not provided wastewater discharge quantity volumes for the proposed on-site wastewater discharge systems within either its application nor to the Barry Eaton District Health Department personal communication on 3/19/26. Without this information, it is not possible to assess the potential impacts to the surface water bodies, lakes, streams, as well as wetlands in the vicinity of the proposed development. Before I get into all of our amazing public comments, and I mean that very seriously, the public that has commented to this report has been a pleasure to work with. All of my communication has been respectful, and they really have been a joy to speak with. I'm going to read the quarry's self-imposed conditions. The following are our self-imposed conditions of our conditional use permit. Item 1, for any event on the property with a planned attendance of over 2,000 persons, the quarry shall, 30 days prior to the event, submit contracts and permits for the event to the local zoning authority at the time the event is held from the following agencies: MDOT's road closure permit, a contract with local law enforcement to police the site during the event and control ingress egress to the site before and after the event, contract with security firm overseeing the site during the event, and a contract with the Charlotte Fire Department. And contract with local EMS. Staff did confirm with the Eaton Township clerk that once this information is received, it will be posted on the Eaton Township website, and anybody surrounding the property or anybody that wishes to have this information can submit a standing FOIA request for information received by Eaton Township regarding the quarry. So once the township receives this information, it will then be sent out to anybody that has that standing FOIA request 30 days prior to any event taking place. Planning Commission can't require Eaton Township to do that, but Eaton Township is willing to do that. Item 2, centralized safety plan for all uses and the entire property shall be developed and approved by way of signature from the chief officials from all agencies under item 1. The plan shall be complete by July 1st. Item 3, construction of the proposed berms and correction of the existing berms along Perky Road will begin the week of April 13th, 2026. Construction correction of the berms will be complete by September 1st of 2026. A landscape plan compliant with Article 17 of the Eaton County zoning ordinance for the proposed and corrected berms along Perky Road and the Sledding Hill shall be submitted by June 20th for review and approval. All planting shall be complete by the spring of 2027. All exterior lighting shall be dark sky compliant. Private road applications will be submitted by the end of April of 2026. A surety bond in the amount of $10,000 for trash and debris shall be in place in favor of Eaton Township. All trash shall be cleaned up from Clinton Trail, M50, Perky Road, Stewart Road, and Island Highway within 48 hours after an event is held. The quarry website will have a link for questions and concerns. Any communication received will be responded to within 48 hours. Business cards with direct contact to the manager of the quarry shall be mailed to neighboring property owners who request the card to be mailed. If approved by the Eaton County Road Commission, no parking signs will be installed along Perky Road at the cost of the quarry. Sledding Hill hours of operation are as follows: Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., Friday and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 10 p.m., and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. These are the self-imposed conditions that the quarry, in listening to the neighbors and getting all of the neighbors' response, are proposing. If the Planning Commission wishes them to be in effect, they do have to be included in the motion. Now we're on to the neighbor responses. "33 surrounding property owners were notified by first-class mail." It contradicts each other because I put no written responses were received. However, at the time of writing the staff report, 9 written responses were received and were included in the report. The first communication is a petition. I'm going to read the document that surrounding property owners were signing the petition for, and then I'll list the names and addresses of the people that signed. March 18th of 2026 to the Eaton County Planning Commission, subject, petition requesting temporary halt or further review of the proposed site development of 3861 and 3659 East Clinton Trail, 455 South Stewart Road, and 710 South Perky Highway, Section 15, Eaton Township, AKA The Quarry. Dear members of the Eaton County Planning Commission, we, the undersigned residents and stakeholders of Eaton County, respectfully request that the commission place a temporary halt on the approval and advancement of the proposed site development project referred to as The Quarry, which is located at 3861 and 3659 East Clinton Trail. Our request is based on the need for additional review, transparency, and public engagement regarding several aspects of the proposal. Community members have expressed concerns and want further examination to ensure the development aligns with county planning standards, long-term interest of Eaton County, and the well-being and consideration of the residents bordering the quarry. Key issues we believe that require additional evaluation include: 1, public awareness and engagement. Requests from residents for additional opportunities to review documents, understand the proposal, and provide public input. 2, amendments and changes are occurring consistently with this project, and the neighborhood is unaware of these changes. The notice was only given back in September, October, and the site proposal has changed significantly since then without notice. Desire for improved communication to ensure transparency throughout the process. 2, community concerns regarding noise, project scope, and neighborhood safety. Anticipated traffic increases from the noise levels for both the construction and subsequent long-term operations, and the need for clarification on the proposed mitigation measures. Project amendments are bringing cabins closer to the residents on Perky Road and Bell Highway. The project amendments, such as the sledding hill and cabins, are bringing light pollution closer to the residents on Perky Road and Bell Highway. Public safety concerns about overflow parking on Perky, Stewart, Bell, and other neighboring roads. Questions about the overall scale and intensity of the project and how the scope aligns with the local zoning intent and community expectations. Potential safety impacts, including traffic flow changes, traffic safety and considerations, and general neighborhood security during and after the development. Item 3, Old Quarry Spirits. Potential impacts on the safety of traffic in the neighborhood, whether it is prudent to introduce alcohol to an event center that is located on M50 between Stewart Road and Perky Road. 1, both M50 in Perky and M50 in Stewart have had fatal car crashes within the past 3 years, as well as fatal accidents on Island Highway in Stewart. This is an additional to accidents that occur all along M50 with motorists routinely exceeding posted speed limits. Potential noise increase of inebriated people returning to cabins located across from residents. We respectfully ask the Planning Commission to pause further approvals and advancement of this development until above concerns have been fully investigated, and provide additional public review sessions, update studies where appropriate, and clear communication with the community. We appreciate your attention to this matter and your service to Eaton County. Our goal is to ensure that decisions are made with full information, community input, and long-term county well-being in mind. Sincerely, Eric Clubb, 935 South Perky Road, Catherine Clubb, 935 South Perky Road, Adam Carroll, 877 South Perky Road, Samantha Carroll, 877 South Perky Road, Brian Hamilton, 747 South Perky Road, Susan Hamilton, 747 South Perky Road, Amy, I'm going to butcher your last name, Krasinski at 569 South Perky Road, Steve Osage at 565 South Perky Road, Cynthia Osage at 565 South Perky Road, Vincent Munzo at 553 South Perky Road, Olivia Munzo at 553 South Perky Road, Scott Martis at 543 South Perky Road, Kim Bailey at 459 South Perky Road, Antonio Martinez at 465 South Perky Road, Pete McLeod at 315 South Perky Road, Robert Bowman at 409 Bell Highway, Robert Bowman at 4118 Bell Highway, Jared Hale, 4127 Bell Highway, Gary James at 4081 Bell Highway, Tina Schultz, 4165 Bell Highway, Jonathan Novetsky, sorry, and I probably just butchered your name too. 4380 Bell Highway, Anna Novetsky at 4380 Bell Highway, Nicholas Kemp at 4414 Bell Highway, Brian Bevins at 4336 Bell Highway, Carrie Bevins at 4336 Bell Highway, and Dorothy Childs at 4379 Bell Highway. The signatures for that petition were also included. The person that emailed it to me was kind enough to type out the names and the addresses as they weren't included on the signature line. So the next neighbor response, written neighbor response that was received is from Catherine Clubb. My name is Catherine Clubb. I live on 935 South Perky and have been a Charlotte community member since 2010. I've enjoyed being a part of the community for years. I am now living directly across from the location of the future quarry project. I would like to voice my extreme concerns and frustrations with this project. I have a number of reasons why the quarry will be a direct hindrance to my home, my property, and my life. First, my property is zoned as a limited agricultural site. I purchased my home back in 2016 with the express interest in using it as a personal hobby farm. My goals were to have various types of livestock, farm my own produce, and be in a rural agricultural setting, yet still be close enough to a nearby town or city with ease. The houses along Perky Road are either limited agricultural like myself or residential. There are also a number of agricultural lots in and around the area. None of the buyers of the homes along Perky Road, Bell Highway, etc. chose their homes with the hopes to live beside a large-scale commercial event center. Had we known this was the plan, most of us would not have bought our homes, myself included. There is no alteration to the quarry property, i.e. berms, tree lines, that will suffice to allow us to continue on with our current ways of life. To make matters worse, if the housing development they plan to build put on the east side of the lot that directly puts the main concentration of their venue and traffic on the east corner right across the street. Additionally, the plan includes a massive septic system across the road from my property. This will be extremely close to my well, which is directly across the street. There will be no avoiding the noise, light, traffic disruptions, and nightlife that will be attracted to this venue. I believe the limited agricultural and agricultural properties in the area, like me, will incur additional difficulties with traffic on the roads, making our use of land much harder and more dangerous. Second, I believe we did not receive appropriate notice nor level of detail prior to any of the meetings that have allowed this plan to develop. Our first mailed notice only spoke about a commercial recreational facility, rental venue for weddings, events, etc. There were absolutely no specifications of the scope of the project, no mention of the additional housing, amphitheater, or the scope of the wedding venue. Details were conveniently omitted from the notice and dissoluted from the public coming to voice their concerns. However, the second notice we just received, unlike the first, it stated the requested change is to allow for the construction of additional buildings, sledding hills, and relocate the cottages to another location. Why was this notice more detailed up front than the additional notice? I believe the additions of the Rick House and sledding hill have been planned for from the beginning and were omitted from the first plan on purpose. If you believe this was not done intentionally, then that would be incredibly naive. Additionally, others have mentioned that the Offenshines went door to door to speak with residents about their plans, and they never came to our residence. My husband works from home and would have known if someone had come by to speak to us. That seems rather convenient, given that we will be the most exposed to the disruptions of the venue will create. I have heard conflicting information as to what the Offenshines even disclosed in the door-to-door conversations. Third, it does not make sense for a business to sandwich a housing development in the middle of all of their event spaces. Even if it's planned to be short-term rental for housing events, if the scale of this project is too large and becomes an economic problem or failure of the business, which I believe will happen, no one will want to buy houses in between commercial wedding venues and a brewery event center amphitheater. In the initial plan, the houses would have been on the opposite side of the venue, on the west side of the property, meaning that those houses could more easily be parceled off and sold if needed. In that case, the business could become more easily scaled down their operations without causing blight to the area. In the latter scenario, the separation of the business area and housing could easily allow for the selling of houses and only run the wedding event venue space. This would be a benefit to all in the area and be better for property's resale value. The last thing I would want would be a slew of unsellable properties across from my street. That would negatively impact my property values and sellability of my own home. In summation, I strongly disagree with the east side development of this commercial venue plan entirely. I believe that these amendments would drastically negatively affect the use of my property as well as the value and sellability of my property. I do not want to take the owners or managers of the business for their word. That word has already been inconsistent, secretive, and changed multiple times. I have been omitted from information disclosures, in my opinion, on purpose. It concerns me that these changes are being pushed through to make it in time before the county relinquishes its responsibility to Eaton Township before June 30th. If all parties involved continue to allow this business to do what it is doing, then it demonstrates to me and many others that the community members are of no value and that this is truly just about the almighty dollar. Regards, Catherine Clubb, 935 South Perky Road, Charlotte. I believe that the next page is also from Ms. Clubb. Attached is a photo from the fall buck pole event taken from my living room window. The photo was taken on November 15th of 2025 at 9:15. This proves how the business is already ignoring guidance from the current zoning ordinance and recommendations. The lights were on late at night, as late as 11 p.m., pointed directly towards our properties, no trees, no berms, already proving that they do not care about the residents. Additionally, the event also had a party set up with what I believe was a tent and music playing that night. The next communication from a neighboring property owner. To the Eaton County Board of Planning Commissioners, reference 3861, 3859 East Clinton Trail, 455 South Stewart Road, 7110 South Perky Road, Section 15, Eaton Township, The Quarry. Dear members of the Eaton County Planning Commission, my name is Adam Carroll. I reside at 877 South Perky Road in Charlotte, Michigan. I am writing to formally express my concerns regarding the revised conditional use permit application submitted by the quarry for the proposed development and expansion of their venue. Last summer, Adam and Haley Offenshine visited my residence and informed me that they were working with the property owners to develop a wedding venue. At the time, the project was described as modest in scope, similar to the existing venue on Vermontville Highway. I raised concerns about potential noise, and they assured me that their intent was to benefit the community and increase property values. They also mentioned planting Christmas trees across the road from my house, which I understood might help buffer noise and visibility. In December, after construction had begun, I contacted Adam Offenshine again after reading an article suggesting plans for events accommodating 8,000 to 10,000 people. I reiterated my concern for noise, traffic, and security. I was told the article was a misrepresentation of their intentions and the venue would not become a nuisance. More recently, I learned through a neighbor, not through any official communication, that there are now plans to construct a 24 cabins up to 1,000 square feet along Perky Road directly across from my home. Additionally, proposed features include a sledding hill with snowmaking equipment and lift, as well as a whiskey tasting room. These proposals represent a significant expansion beyond what was originally communicated to nearby residents. I am deeply concerned that the quarry will not be transparent with those most directly impacted, nor it appears with the full scope of the plans submitted to the board. Public safety concerns. In 2025, Eaton County voters did not approve the public safety millage, resulting in the elimination of county road patrol services. The county now relies on Michigan State Police resources covering multiple counties. I am concerned that the events at the quarry will lack adequate law enforcement presence. While the proposal references private security as a law enforcement officer since 2007, I can attest that private security personnel does not possess the same authority, training, or resources as sworn officers. This creates risk, particularly when dealing with intoxicated individuals who may be removed from the property and left to wander away to nearby roadways or neighborhoods. Traffic and road safety. The intersection along M50 and the nearby roads have documented history of serious fatal accidents. Additional event traffic, particularly with attendees potentially leaving under the influence, poses a substantial hazard. Private security cannot control traffic on state highways. Any such measures would require coordination with MDOT. I am also concerned about the overflow parking during large events. Based on similar events in the region, attendees are likely to park along local roads, potentially obstructing emergency vehicles and creating dangerous conditions for residents and first responders. Short-term rental concerns. The proposed cabins raise additional issues. Short-term rental often brings increased noise, traffic, and litter. With a liquor store nearby, there's a high likelihood of increased pedestrian traffic along Perky Road and M50, including late-night activity. It is unclear who will manage guest behavior and ensure the community's safety outside of event hours. Operational impact. According to the proposal, the venue intends to operate 7 days a week, beginning at 7 a.m. with music continuing until 11 p.m., followed by cleanup as late as 2 a.m. I am respectfully asking how such an operational schedule would not constitute a nuisance to surrounding residents. Light pollution. The quarry has already demonstrated potential for light pollution during events such as the Buck Pole, where lighting impacted nearby homes. Future developments, including the sledding hill and cabin rentals, will likely require extensive lighting, further affecting neighborhood properties. Conclusion. I have reviewed the planning board meeting on October 7th and heard the Auvenshines express a desire to be good neighbors. However, the updated conditional use permit places 24 cabins and a newly proposed sledding hill directly in front of existing homes. This suggests that the Auvenshines may not be prioritizing the community and nearby residents. There is ample land along Stewart Road with no residential homes and an existing county park. This location would be far more suitable or sensible for place for short-term rentals and cabins and a sledding hill, avoiding impacts to current residents. The scale of this project has expanded significantly from what it was originally communicated, given the level of investment. It is difficult to believe that the operations will remain limited to small events. I have also heard discussions of hosting large-scale events, such as the Nordic Festival, which would draw 4 more attendees than currently indicated. I respectfully urge the board to carefully consider the long-term impacts of the development and public safety, traffic, quality of life, and the surrounding community. Everyone preventable tragedy resulting from these conditions would be one too many. Thank you for your time and consideration. Respectfully, Adam Carroll, 877 South Perky Road, Charlotte, Michigan. The next is submitted by Jim Beal. Brandy, I am opposed to the quarry coming into my neighborhood, Huber Ponds. This venture, I suspect, will bring a variety of problems to Eaton Township. Drinking brings drunk drivers, arguing, fights, and traffic violations. The township already has too many fatal crashes. We don't need this new business so that it will contribute to even more. There will be much more traffic in the neighborhood, as well as probably a rise in crime. The area has already seen a rise in larceny from auto complaints. The crime will inevitably raise even higher. Now that Eaton County has no law enforcement patrol, I foresee problems getting worse and possibly a rise in vigilant activity, which will not be good for the county. Charlotte already has a sledding hill. Another one is not necessary. The noise and trash from this event center will only lower our property values. Please reconsider allowing this to come to our neighborhood. Thank you, Jim Beal. The next communication is from Nicholas Cap. To the Eaton County Board of Planning Commissioners, 3861 and regarding 3861 and 3659 East Clinton Trail, 455 South Stewart Road, 710 South Perky Road, Section 15, Eaton Township, The Quarry LLC. My name is Nicholas Kep, and I am the homeowner at 4414 Bell Highway, Eaton Rapids, Michigan. I recently became aware of the scale and complexity of the proposed development by The Quarry LLC. I respectfully submit the following concerns and recommendations for your consideration during staff review. 1. Neighborhood noise. The proposed 15 by 40 amphitheater stage is compatible of hosting touring performers using high-powered sound equipment. While the design includes below-grade placement and berms for sound mitigation, similar venues demonstrate that sound can travel significant distances, often clearly audible beyond the property, including residential areas. This raises not only a nuisance concern, but also potential health impacts from prolonged exposure to elevated noise levels. Recommendations. Reorient the stage to face north, increasing distance from nearby residents and utilizing natural buffer from adjacent agricultural land. Establish an enforced maximum noise level decibel of 55 dBA at the property line. This standard aligns with the research indicated that the prolonged exposure above 55 to 65 dBA may cause adverse effects with hearing damage beginning around 70 dBA. This limit is measured by neighbors and allowed for accountability. Sledding hill safety. The proposed sledding hill is not incidental to the venue's primary use, but introduces a separate recreational activity with inherent risk. Given the alcohol service is central to the venue's operations, combining alcohol consumption with a downhill activity prevents a foreseeable safety hazard. National data, example from the CDC, indicates alcohol is a significant factor in injury-related incidents, particularly falls and outdoor accidents. Additionally, the sledding hill may pose ongoing liability and safety risks, even if the business ceases operations, create permanent high-visibility landscaped impact. Recommendation, deny approval of the sledding hill component. If approved, require strict safety measures, including compliance with MIOSHA standards, adhere to the National Ski Area Association safety guidelines, on-site staff trained in first aid, rescue, and emergency evacuation similar to ski patrol, EMS response capable within 3 to 4 minutes, secure fencing to prevent unauthorized access during non-operational hours. I support the constructive dialogue regarding this project. However, I also express concern that a development initially presented as a small boutique wedding venue now appears to have significantly greater impact on the surrounding neighborhood and residents' quality of life. Thank you for your time and consideration. Nicholas Kep, 4414 Bell Highway, Eaton Rapids. The next communication is from Mr. Eric Cub. I have significant concerns that the amended plan for the quarry will bring noise and disturbance to the residents of Perky. This is a particularly challenging issue to bring to the board's attention, as Eaton County has no noise ordinance. And the ordinance of the county of Eaton, Michigan, the zoning ordinance, does not define or address noise, nor what remedies residents have as it pertains to noise. The information provided in the amended plan is not informative. It is lacking detail and generic to an extent that causes me concerns as a homeowner across the street. The amended plan has 3 proposals. 1, a sledding hill. 2, relocation of the cabins. 3, build a rick house and bourbon tasting facility. The sledding hill, no information was provided whatsoever on the amended plan about this facility, how high, how wide. It is stated that there will be transport to the top, but the detail will be provided by others. What does that mean? How can you approve a portion of a plan that is so vague? Will the hill be open to the public, given its position by Perky Road and the Township Hall? How will they control people parking at the Township Hall or on Perky Road, walking to the hill? What about security and safety concerns? There are no details. Cabins moving closer to Perky will create a greater opportunity for disturbances to the residents on Perky. Section 17 of the conditional use permit application requests an explanation on how the proposed plan will affect the surrounding areas. This amended application simply uses the same explanation from the first application, despite significant changes having been proposed. What does their explanation for this, what does their explanation for the significant changes state? A tree farm will provide buffer, but there is not a tree farm on the amended application's map to the east of the property. On top of this, the closest cabins to Perky Road appear to be 100 feet from the road. Their expectation also states that a berm will be constructed. Will this berm be built in according to section 17.6.1 of the zoning ordinance? How tall will it be, or will it be like the berm on the north side of Perky that obviously does not comply with the slope requirements or the ground cover maintenance requirements? Is there berm required per the zoning ordinance, or is it simply good faith try by the developers as seen on North Perky? I do not have faith in the developers will construct and maintain a berm unless they are required to do so by law. If the cabins in Sledding Hill are constructed and on the amended plan is approved, all of the activities of the quarry will be centralized to the southeast corner. This brings activities, noise, disturbance closer to the residents. I believe that the project will result in conditions that are detrimental to the surrounding persons and property. This is in opposition to 9.3.6 of the zoning ordinance. I also have concerns that the public facilities are not adequate, including streets and police protection, in opposition to 9.3.6B of the zoning ordinance. A traffic study conducted by Progressive Companies was conducted and prepared in January of 2026, prior to the amended plan submission on February 20th of 2026. The report here appears to have been conducted under the conditions that do not reflect the venue's proposed capacity or peak operating times. The report states that the data collected was conducted in December during weekdays, page 1 of the report. The report neglects to state whether the data was conducted on a Friday evening or during weekends, evenings, and nights. This is material as the quarry will be primary in conducting business during Fridays and Saturday nights. Per the report, page 10, he's referring to the traffic study report, which the Planning Commission does have. Why gather data during the weekdays and neglect to gather data from the primary operating hours of the businesses? The data collected was limited to M50 Perky and M50 Stewart. So was the crash analysis from 2020 to 2025 in the report covered on page 10? The crash analysis does not provide any details on when accidents occur and how the crash data correlates to the primary business hours of the quarry. The data point that is material given the desire given the desire to introduce the Rick House. Again, traffic will be increased all along M50, and it is reasonable to assume that Island Highway will see an increase in traffic as travelers may exit I-69 at Potterville and take M99 to Island as a shortcut, as many people do. The report states that turn lanes are warranted for high volumes on Friday nights when the venues are at capacity, but decides not to recommend turn lanes. I see significant issues with the scope and data analysis of this report, which causes concerns about the safety of the streets in opposition of 9.3.6B of the zoning ordinance. Based on section 9.3.6B and E of the zoning ordinance, Planning Commission's decision should be to deny the amended plan. Sledding Hill denied. The developer needs to provide significantly more detail for information for an informed decision to be made. Without obtaining the necessary information, decisions will be made that could result in detrimental conditions to the surrounding persons and property. Cabins, deny. The cabins are already approved for a central location that is away from the residents surrounding the quarry. A denial for this portion of the amended plan will not hurt their business. Their stated desire is to have the operations centralized. They can do so without moving the cabins to the most populated area surrounding their lot. Rick House, deny. Insufficient traffic studies have been conducted to warrant a proper analysis of the addition of this facility. A denied application does not mean the developer cannot resubmit a new application with proper due diligence, and it also takes into account the peace and serenity of the neighbors who have been residents before this project began. Should the Planning Commission believe that the amended plan should be approved, I believe that conditions of our approval are warranted for the amended plan in order to ensure that compatibility with adjacent uses of land, which are residential homes, is met as stipulated in 9.39 of the zoning ordinance. These conditions shall be designed to protect the residents and landowners immediately adjacent to the proposed land use and as stipulated in 9.3.10A of the zoning ordinance. If you desire to approve the amended plan, I strongly urge you to consider the following conditions. Move the location of the sledding hill away from Perky Road to discourage people from road parking and unsafe conditions for visitors and residents on Perky and Bell. Require the berm to be constructed in accordance with the definitions of the zoning ordinance. Consider requiring a buffer yard, Article 17 and 17.4 of the zoning ordinance to be constructed to further reduce the noise and disturbance to residents on Perky and Bell. Require this to be done in accordance to the zoning ordinance. As you can see from the petition submitted earlier, all signatures from the residents on Perky and Bell Highway, all signatures are from residents on Perky Road and Bell Highway, which is the community surrounding this project. We are the landowners immediately adjacent to this project, and we have serious concerns that the project, if completed as proposed and amended, will be detrimental to our quiet and peaceful rural neighborhood. Eric Clubb, 935 South Perky Road. In the staff report is communication from John, I'm going to butcher your last name again, and I'm sorry, Novetsky. He has asked that I do not read the communication that is written in the staff report. Instead, he, today at almost 9 o'clock in the morning, submitted a new communication that he'd like me to read into record. It is much shorter, so thank you, John. Public comment on Quarry LLC conditional use permit amendment. I submit this comment regarding the proposed amendment to the conditional use permit for the Quarry LLC as it relates to the proposed brick house structure. From a land use and dimensional standpoint, the proposed building size appears reasonable and does not in itself raise material concerns regarding scale or compatibility. However, the proposed use of the structure warrants closer scrutiny. The application indicates the building will be utilized for the storage of high-proof distilled spirits, with the approximate 1/3 of the structure designed for tasting and related consumer-facing activities. These uses are not merely incidental, they are directly regulated under the Michigan Liquor Control Code and fall within the jurisdiction of the Michigan Liquor Control Commission, MLCC. As of April 7th of 2026, the relevant Class C liquor license application, MLC number RQ-251-2-16404 and number RQ-2512-16405, reflecting the transfer of ownership from Hidden Creek Farms LLC to the Quarry LLC, remain pending and have not been approved. The proposed tasting and component associated with commercial activity are contingent upon proper licensure and regulatory authority at the state level. Approving a conditional use permit amendment that contemplates or enables regulated liquor activities in advance of MLCC approval creates misalignment between local land use authorization and state regulatory compliance. Such posture introduces avoidable legal and administrative risk, including the potential for use to be established that is not yet lawfully permitted under state law. I respectfully request that any approval of the proposed amendment be expressly conditioned upon the applicant first obtaining all required approvals from the Michigan Liquor Commission, including issuance of a valid Class C liquor license. Further, I request that the Commission prohibit construction or occupancy of the brick house structure for its proposed use until such licensure is fully approved and in effect. This approach would ensure consistency with Michigan statutory requirements, maintaining orderly land use administration and protect the county from authorizing a use that is not yet legally operable. I separately want to address the relocation of the 24 short-term cabin rentals. The previous approved conditional use permit authorized the limited use consisting of 1, short-term rental with an event capacity of up to 99 attendees and 33 vehicles, building C2, and 2, 1 short-term rental with a pool and event capacity of up to 96 attendees and 32 vehicles, building C6, with access from Perky Road. In total, the approved use allows for 195 occupants and 65 vehicles, reflecting a level of intensity evaluated for compatibility with surrounding area. The proposed amendment represents a material increase to both operational intensity and land use impact under the Michigan zoning principles and Eaton County zoning ordinance. The additional 24 short-term rental cabins introduces 48 additional vehicles, which, based on standard traffic assumption of 3 persons per vehicle, equates to approximately 144 additional occupants. This results in a total projected capacity of approximately 339 occupants and 113 vehicles, reflecting a roughly 74% increase to both traffic and occupancy. Equally significant is the change in the surrounding residential density context. Under the originally approved configuration, the location and designation for the cabins has approximately 5 residential properties within 300 feet of the Quarry Property LLC. The proposed new location places the same level of intensity within an area containing approximately 21 residential properties within 300 feet of the Quarry LLC property. This represents a 320% increase in nearby residential density exposure from 5 to 21 properties. As a result, more than 4 times the number of homes will be directly impacted by the increased traffic, noise, light, and transient occupancy associated with this expanded short-term rental use. This shift is critical from the land use compatibility standpoint. The intensity of the use already significantly increased by the added occupants and vehicles is now being introduced into into a substantially denser residential setting, amplifying its effect on the neighboring properties, homestead and primary residents within 300 feet, and will experience highlighted impacts, including reduced privacy, increased congestion, and diminished quiet enjoyment. From a public health and safety perspective, concentrating 113 vehicles and 339 occupants in a closer proximity to a large number of residents raises concerns regarding roadway capacity, emergency access, and pedestrian safety, particularly along Perky Road and surrounding local streets. From a local real estate standpoint, the 320% increase in the number of directly affected residential properties significantly expands the scope of the adverse, I'm gonna butcher this word, externalities? Yeah, not getting it right. The broader exposures is likely to result in greater and more widespread negative impacts on property values as the character of the area shifts from low-density residential to a higher-intensity transient lodging environment. Importantly, the original permit's placement of the cabins in an area with fewer nearby residents reflects an effort to mitigate incompatibility. Relocating to that same or greater intensity into an area with 2 quarry short-term rental homes and substantially more homes constitutes a material modification that alters the foundational assumptions of the original approval. For these reasons, the proposed amendments should be evaluated as high-density land use change with amplified neighborhood impact, requiring comprehensive review under applicable zoning, compatibility, and public welfare standards. I'm only hoping that I'm reading them that you guys can hear me. The next comment is sent from Stephen Cindy Osage, referred to as We, 565 South Perky Road, Charlotte. Homeowner comments, the Quarry LLC conditional use permit application dated February 20th of 2026, case number CU 10259. We would like to start out by saying that this is a quiet community. We moved here and wanted to quiet and less traffic. We live on M50 at North Clinton Trail. When we purchased our home, we did not know the gravel mining operations would gravel mining operations would be starting across the road. While not ideal, we still had peaceful environment in the evenings and on the weekends. The neighborhood attended a Township Zoning Commission meeting on March 24th of 2026. At that time, many expressed their concerns, but we did not feel our voices were heard, as evident by the vote to proceed with the application. We believe the above referenced application change of conditions should not be approved. We were led to believe that the quarry would be a wedding venue with a few community events like those that were held at Hidden Creek Farms. We believe the proposed changes and the concert venue changes not addressed in the proposed changes application are a huge deviation from the original approved application. The changes will negatively impact the quiet neighborhood we and our neighbors love. We will address statements on the application made about the impact on the neighbors, the traffic study issued in January 2026, and each of the requested changes. Impact on neighbors. Item 4, page 4, item 17, paragraph 6 states the project is harmonious and compatible with the existing land uses, natural features, planned character, and adjacent property in the general vicinity, and the project will not result in conditions that are detrimental to the surrounding persons or property. Emphasis added. Page 7. Page 7, page 2 of attachment 2. Explain why this request should be granted section. Explain why this request should be granted section. States the quarry does not expect a negative impact on the surrounding property owners. It states that the quarry plans to be good neighbors, which is why they are proposing to keep the existing berms that were installed for the operation of the surface mine. It further states the quarry believes the proposed use of the property will have less of an impact on our neighbors. They will no longer have issues with dust and noise from the operation of the mine. Emphasis added. Comments, concerns. To say the quarry operations will have less of an impact on the neighbors because we will no longer have issues with the dust and noise is not a fair statement. The conditional use permit application shows the hours of operation will be from 7 a.m. to midnight with music ending at 11 p.m. Pit operations generally ended at 7 p.m. during the week. Saturday was until noon and no operations on Sunday. In addition, it was dark and quiet at night. For us and our neighbor to the north, 565 South Perky Road and 561 South Perky Road, we are above the berm line. Not only can we see down into the pit area, we can see the traffic on Stewart Road. We will definitely be impacted by the sounds of the quarry just as we were with the pit operations. Our concern is that there are more hours to have to listen to the noise and to deal with more light. We like to have our windows open and sit outside in the warmer months. Traffic study. We recently learned of a traffic study conducted by Progressive Companies for the contractor of the quarry. The traffic study was conducted in December of 2025 and issued in January of 2026. It should further be noted that the application for the proposed changes is dated for February of 2026. Key points in the traffic study are as follows. 1, the study was conducted in December of 2025. During that time, almost half of the days had snow, freezing rain, or mixed precipitation. Many people stayed home in those conditions if it can be avoided. 2, the study refers to Friday peak traffic. It does not appear to take other days into consideration. 3, the study indicates a 3,000 person capacity for the amphitheater to be used 1 to 2 times per year. 4, the study indicates the anticipated venue hall will operate on weekends approximately 20 times period. 5, the study indicates the event space indicates the event space will host line dancing and other events after 5 p.m. on weeknights. Comments and concerns. The study does not reflect the traffic flow during the summer when most events will likely occur at the quarry. 2, local news outlets have indicated the quarry will be having concerts with upwards of 10,000 people, which is significantly higher than the 3,000 person capacity included in the study. 3, the application changes do not reflect the larger crowd, nor does it include the larger amphitheater. If this is true, why would it not be included in the proposed changes? 4, we heard the traffic will be rerouted onto Perky, Stewart, and Flanders when M50 gets too backed up. This serves no purpose because traffic will have to be rerouted back to M50 to enter to the quarry. Proposed changes. 1, relocation of the cottages. A, this will bring noise, people talking and shouting in traffic, vehicles, doors opening and closing, lighting for the cottages, etc., closer to the residents on Perky Road and other nearby homes. Because the cottages will be available to event guests, one can assume that guests will be partying with no regard to how their noise will affect neighboring owners. Most of us have attended such events and know this to be true. B, quarry representatives stated at the township zoning meeting on March 24th, 2026 that they wanted centralized operations. C, we do not believe moving the cottages to the Perky Road side for the reason given with a berm will have the same effect as the original plan to have the cottages on the less populated side of the property with a tree farm as a buffer. 2, add rick house and tasting room. This leaves us to believe that the venue is now going to be open to the public in addition to the events and that event guests than we were originally led to believe. This adds more noise, raises concerns about traffic in an area that is already prone to accidents, M50 in Perky, M50 in Stewart, M50 in Flanders, and M50 in Island. C, no specific hours were identified for the rick house and tasting room. D, the plans do not identify the height of the structure. Rick houses are generally tall structures approximately 7 stories high. E, the rick house structure raised other concerns that impact the neighborhood. 1, black fungus. A rick house is black for a reason. It's black fungus, commonly referred to as whiskey fungus. Professor James A. Scott of the Dalla Lana School for Public Health at the University of Toronto has studied the funguses since 2001 and stated that the fungus is destructive, wrecking patio furniture, house siding, and almost any outdoor surface, and has seen trees choked to death because of the fungus on the trees. He further states that the fungus is found to be on every surface, including stainless steel, which is not supposed to allow for microbial growth on it. 2, smell. Yes, there will be a smell due to alcohol evaporation. Anyone who has visited a bourbon distillery can smell it before they see it. The rick house allows for the bourbon barrels to expand and contract with temperature changes, which result in the breathing effect where the bourbon moves in and out of the wood and into the air. 3, add the sledding hill. As with the cottages, why does this have to be on the Perky side of the property? The proposal is removing the tree buffer. The proposal is removing the tree buffer as proposed in the original application. B, page 16, sledding hill and property plan provides little information other than showing the location, and the sledding hill transport details will be provided by others. 1, what will the dimensions of the sledding hill be? 2, what are the hours of operation for the sledding hill? 3, will there be a change in use to the sledding hill? 4, who will be using the sledding hill? 5, will there be additional lighting for the sledding hill? 6, will there be a snowmaking machine? We heard there will be one. 7, will there be a lift of some sort to the top of the hill? We hear there will be one. C, depending on the size of the hill, depending on the size of the hill, will determine the snowmaking machine, and some of these can be as loud as a jet engine. It is hard to address the impact of the sledding hill without answers to these questions. Other concerns. 1, limited law enforcement availability. Due to budget constraints, law enforcement is stretched thin. Bringing in more activities and venues to the area leaves the neighborhood vulnerable to trespassing, speeding, crime, etc. 2, concert venue hours, noise, traffic, and lights. The application indicates that music will end at 11 p.m. However, the neighborhood would be dealing with the noise, vehicle doors opening and closing, engines running, talking, shouting loud, well after 11 p.m. B, if the concert venue will be over 10,000 people, where will this traffic go and where will they park? Parking should be allowed on the roads parking should be allowed on the roads. Parking should be allowed on the roads off M50 because there is not enough shoulder room to park. I believe it's intended to say parking should not be allowed on the roads off M50 because there's not enough shoulder room to park without impacting public safety of traffic flow and the safety of those walking on the road. Parking on these side roads will impact the homeowner properties. 3, no noise ordinance. Eaton County ended its countywide noise ordinance in 2006. Eaton Township and Eaton County have no noise ordinance. Generally, a noise ordinance prohibits loud, unnecessary, unreasonable noises that disturb the peace, comfort, or rest of the residents. With no noise ordinance, there is nothing that we can do if the noise continues well into the wee hours of the morning or concerts are so loud it rattles the windows on the homes. Our windows rattled and house shook during the mining operations. I believe that ends that communication.
Chairman, I move we take a recess till 8:45.
Just for a restroom break for everyone. I'm good with that, I think. I think that's what Ray was probably thinking of. So let's take 10 minutes, please. Okay, it is 8:45. I'd like to bring us back from recess. Ms. Miller, would you like to resume?
Absolutely. I have 5 more public comments to read. March 22nd, 2026, Eaton Township Board, Eaton County Planning Commission. This was submitted by Miss Amy and Alan Kresge. Say that again? Amy also submitted an additional email today that I will read after her initial comment. As a resident of Eaton Township and Perky Road, I sat through the Township Planning Board's review of the quarry application to modify the development plan already approved by the Eaton County Planning Commission. I heard the board vote to support the requested changes as their duty to protect all landowners' rights and make changes on their property. I understand the Planning Board's responsibility. It is to protect the public's interest, especially for the citizens of Eaton Township, mitigate hazards to their community, and promote the public health through the physical design of the township. In this case, they have failed. The infrastructure and primary roads in this area of Eaton County are insufficient for the optimistic plans to host 10,000 people at a concert. As the attendees at the Planning Committee meeting pointed out, multiple facilities and countless accidents and injuries have occurred on three or four of the corners beyond this area. Moving the residential rental cabins to the east side of the venue's property puts them directly in sight and foot traffic for the existing permanent residential properties, and the required drain fields will not allow any substantial tree screening to be planted to discourage visibility and foot traffic. A berm designed to screen direct view into the parking and activities of the quarry will not shield the neighborhood from lights and sounds of existing traffic. I apologize. It will extend well beyond closing time. Due to the inadequate roads, especially M50, which is DOT controlled, and modification to the size and design will not be in Eaton County's purview. Adding a liquor barn will increase the likelihood for the need of safety police and EMTs that are already strained under Eaton County's budget and currently unavailable to this area during suggested peak operations of the quarry. The Auvenshines represent themselves as a manager able to run this venue, but have never had an active liquor license. As well as other partners of this venue, they have been historically unreliable in the commitment to regulations and restrictions. Grandel Pit operated well before hours with trucks, their own and their customers, that ran continuously on unpermitted roads, requiring neighbors to patrol and complain often. Operations of the permit started well before 7 a.m., with the planning office upholding business rights over residents' complaints, suggesting that required activities that were allowed earlier than permitted trucking hours. Once permitted, the Planning Commission seldom take into consideration a single resident's complaints. One of the planning commissioners suggested that at least it was not going to be an off-the-road dirt bike venue, as if a concert sound would be less objectionable and lower decibels than a motor vehicle. As suggested that concerts might not be every night, but the intent of the owners is to make as much profit as possible. It was purported that the berms would block light and sound, but a sledding hill with snowmaking equipment would undoubtedly be visible for miles, and a berm maintenance was added to addressed, but historically seldom extends beyond construction. Planning board members said liability exposure is not ours to regulate, but I trust that this is part of the responsibility of the planning board and must be considered in protecting the exposure to the public from vandalism and vagrancy that has increased and concentrated transient occupants and uninvested populations that the venue is planning to attract. Sadly, I believe had the owners suggested any other development, our planners would have supported the needs of the few over the needs of the many in every case. I appeal to the county planning board to oppose these changes for which the quarry is applying and to which so many of the residents gathered to voice their opposition. The email received today addressed to myself and Haley Aubenshine. I want to thank you both for your sincere consideration of mine and my neighbors' concerns on this phenomenal project. Many of my major concerns have been addressed in the attached self-imposed conditions for the quarry's conditional use permit. I would like 2 other concerns to be considered. The hours of operation for snowmaking equipment and lighting for the sledding hill need to be restricted to the same hours of operation as the sledding hill. Also, Bell Highway needs no parking signs as it is more likely low traffic, opportunistic parking location for patrons of the quarry. Your communications and flexibility are truly appreciated. Three more. We, Tim and Allison Schroeder, are in support of the quarry. We live on South Stewart Road. The next 2 communications were received on April 3rd after the staff report went out in April 7th. The first one is from Sherry Pabst. My name is Sherry Pabst. My husband and I live at 2752 East Clinton Trail. I see the quarry is requesting a change in zoning to be able to add some additional things to this particular property because we have lived on M50 for about 45 years. We have been affected by the traffic changes that have taken place over the years. Many more trucks and much more traffic because of the addition of Meyer to the area. Now they want to add another venue and other things that will affect the already crazy traffic pattern. There have been fatal accidents on M50 in Perky, Island Highway and Perky, Island Highway and Stewart, and M50 in Flanders. And now you want to let the quarry add to that congestion. Traffic ramps up around 4 a.m. on M50 and stays strong until 11 p.m. With the additional plans they have, that traffic will be much later and people will be drinking. There is no police presence on this road. This police presence on this road to patrol extra traffic. We have heard additional plans that they have for larger amphitheater to have concerts. I'm sure it will be on their next request. I sure hope traffic is something that will be considered when you are making this decision. Sincerely, Sherry Pabst. The next communication is from Susan and Brian Hamilton, 747 South Perky Road, Charlotte. Query considerations 426. I understand the original site plans that were submitted have been approved. I am asking the board to not approve the changes to the plan currently being requested. Not only are the developers asking for 24 cabins to be moved to the east side of the property, but they are adding a rick house and sledding hill, plus future buildings without any specifications. I realize future buildings will need approval. The surrounding area will be impacted by the additional features and changing of the location of the various aspects of the plan. Adding a berm may help with limiting visual sight lines, but noise can still get through. The first proposed placement of the tree farm along Perky Road would block the view of the event center and parking lots, with the cabins on the west side of the property with less impact to the existing homes in the area. How will the new location of the large septic field near Perky Road impact my water supply and property? Will there be parking for the sledding hill? The lighting planned would be dark sky compliant. However, I'm not sure how lighting at the top of a sledding hill will be lessened. Perhaps a better location for this would be to the west side of the property, or better yet, why not the existing Crandall Park? Overall, I feel the proposed changes will have a much larger and more negative impact on the existing homes than the original plans. The developers have proposed adding berms and changing the stage orientation of the amphitheater, and I feel these are partial solutions, acknowledging that they are trying some mitigation measures, but will they be enough? What recourse will the residents have if they are not enough, especially if this change of plans and future changes are approved? What official channels are there to bring issues to be addressed in any way? Regarding previously stated traffic concerns, I understand more will be looked into. However, MDOT, etc., need realistic and accurate statistics to make the proper recommendations. Answers to questions about expected issues and addressing them to have been limited, not giving any specifics or reassurances to the area residents. The answers of just a nod and a statement that they will do the right thing with no consequences or accountability to be addressed, and in my opinion, is not acceptable. We want it acknowledged that our concerns are valid, heard by the board and the developer, and not just that we need more businesses in the area. We also need a strong sense of community where homeowners can feel safe. We would like more clarity and information regarding the current and future plans and more details on how to effectively address and hopefully resolve our concerns. Regarding the conditional use of this property, it appears that there are really no significant conditions placed except to comply with existing ordinance and do the right thing. There are no conditions placed on the development and have adequately addressed the residents' concerns of the impact of us living in the area, including but not limited to the noise late into the evenings with no current noise ordinances, the volume of people, and the potential for problems. Without clearly stated plans for dealing with them, traffic issues on all roads, again, late into the night, overall safety of the property owners in the area. These concerns have been verbally acknowledged by the various boards, however, no action has been taken regarding any changes or conditions. Perhaps sharing more details will help us understand the plans and decrease our concerns, as I am expecting a worst-case scenario. Help us understand your vision and how you plan to accomplish it. Keep in mind the current residents' needs and concerns, especially how to minimize the impact to our desire to maintain our current quiet country lifestyle. The developers seem very passionate about this project. Understand the residents are just as passionate about our families, safety, properties, privacy, and quality of life. I feel the current opposition to this new plan is due to the large scale of the proposal, significant changes being proposed, adding many more things, and lack of the developer being forthcoming with these changes and additions. This development is not just a single property owner adding some pole barns, but a larger scale destination entertainment venue, larger and more complex than was originally expressed in the area to the area residents, which was a family-friendly place with a pole barn for weddings, a Christmas tree farm. I think commissioners need to carefully take a look into considering the very large scale of this project with its many different venues being proposed and future proposed expansions, especially regarding the current and future impacts to the current property owners and families. It is not clear what actual factors go into approval or denial of the conditional use permit with this board. I think it should be an expectation that the township and the county should take into account reasonable requests that impact everybody, not just it's private property and you can do what you want. I am not against progress. I just want clear idea of what the county and township envision for the future development will be, what the current and long-term master plan is, and how it all works together for the existing homes and land use. Regarding the points I have tried to address, please remember that in the zoning ordinance under Article 2, Section 2.2, 2.25, ensure the land use shall be situated in appropriate locations and relationships. I take this to mean that the roads and the access. I take this to mean that not just the roads they are on and the access to emergency services, etc., but it should also include the location, relationship, and concerns to the private homes, surrounding roads, environmental concerns, etc. 2.2.6, avoid the overcrowding of populations. Although the proposed entertainment destination, including short-term rentals, still brings more people to the area. 2.2.7, lessen congestion on public roads and streets. This appears to be increasing usage and congestion. 2.2.8, reduce hazards to life and property, especially the existing homes, residents, and their proposed property. 2.2.9, facilitate adequate provisions for sewage disposal, safe and adequate water supply. I believe that they actually were quoting the Eaton Township's interim zoning ordinance, not the Eaton County zoning ordinance, which is not in effect, and Eaton County Planning Commission does not have a purview to review or regulate. Again, I request that the changes to the proposed site for the quarry not be approved. Okay, the next document in the staff report is the AI rendering of the proposed Rick House and tasting room. The Planning Commission has the large-scale copy of this site plan as well that's in the staff report. It's a site plan that was updated and submitted by the applicant on March 30th of 2026, which includes some items discussed by the public to help mitigate some of the concerns. And I left my copy of what I need to read in record up there. So this was submitted to me on March 31st by the Quarry team. The site plan that the Planning Commission is currently looking at now in the staff report. It says, Brandy, please see attached revised site plan for the quarry. The revisions made are as followed. Sheet 1 of 7. Existing berm locations were added. New berm locations were added along Perky Road and around the township parking lot. Berm to be 32 feet across the base and have approximately 8-foot flat area across the top with trees planted there for screening. Berm shall be approximately 8 foot tall. Line of trees were added between the cottages and septic field. Stage location has been changed as well as the orientation. Rick House location is showing along the path / facing the island. Sheet 2 of 7. The tree line is shown between the cottages and septic field. This is an enlarged plan. Sheet 3 of 7, no changes. Sheet 4 of 7, added the section of tree farm across from the parking lot for Mary's Place, Big Red Pole Barn. Shows section of existing berm along East Clinton Trail. Sheet 5 of 7 shows section of existing berming and section of new berming along Perky Road. Added section of drive from parking lot to path, island for fire department, emergency vehicle access as required by CFD. Sheet 6 of 7, relocate the stage on the island, which changes the orientation and direction of sound. Shows the location and footprint of the proposed Rick House. The Rick House building is planned to be built into the side of an existing hill and will have a live/green roof covering approximately 75% of the building. We are planning a patio area on the roof that will tie in with the tasting room in the building. This single-level building is approximately 20 to 22 feet tall. We are working through details and design concepts. I have attached an AI-generated rendering of the Rick House. Please disregard the background as there will be no mountains, etc. This was done to show how the building will be built into the hill and have a live roof that is not 100% reflective of the final elevation and materials. Sheet 7 of 7 added new berm locations along Perky Road around the township's parking lot to the back corner of the sledding hill, showing the location of the Magic Carpet utility corridor on hill, and note stating that lighting will be dark sky compliant. Please feel free to send this along with the attached site plan to the neighbors to help answer questions about the changes. The applicants, as well as the surrounding property owners, have anything the quarry has submitted since the first application and requested to go to the surrounding property owners. It has been sent, and the applicants have received all communication from all site plan review members and all neighboring property owners. I think we're on to my part now. Nope, I have to go backwards. This might be the longest staff report I've ever written or read. Here's my part. Staff comments. A commercial recreational facility is a use permitted in a limited agriculturally zoned district with a conditional use permit. Zoning ordinance section 5.3.3C defines a commercial recreational facility as an indoor or outdoor recreational facility operated as a business and open to the public for a fee. Such facilities must be located near a major travel corridor or natural feature. A commercial recreation facility may include, but is not limited to, campgrounds, riding stables, rental cottages, swimming beaches, boat rentals, shooting preserves, and athletic fields. The Planning Commission approved the existing conditional use permit in October of 2025. To date, the 75 by 60 building shown on page 4 of the site plan has been constructed and received all required approvals from the Barry Eaton District Health Department, Construction Codes, and Charlotte Fire Department. The foundation of the main event building, as shown on page 3 of the site plan, is currently under construction. The required building permit for the construction of the building on the foundation will not be issued without permits to install from the Barry Eaton District Health Department for the well, septic, and drain field. Staff spoke with Wynn Berry of the Barry Eaton District Health Department on March 31st. Per Mr. Berry, Mr. Berry informed staff that the applicants have been working with the Barry Eaton District Health Department to ensure compliance. The applicants have received all written communications from neighboring property owners. On Monday, March 30th, the applicants submitted the updated site plan with the following revisions, which I've already read. I love that for me. I'm just making sure I'm on the right page. In addition to the Planning Commission considering an application per zoning ordinance section 9.3.6 based on the Planning Commission decision shown on page 5 and 6 of this report, the application is sent out for site plan review to several agencies to comply with zoning ordinance section 8.6 standard for site plan review approval, which requires the review for surface water drainage, driveway, traffic safety, fire safety, emergency, soil erosion and sedimentation, public health, water, sewer, waste removal, and state and federal statutes. The agency responses begin on page 3 of this report. The applicants have received all responses and are actively working with all agencies to address the requirements from the review. The required traffic study has been submitted to staff by the applicant. Staff sent to MDOT and Eaton County Road Commission for review. Staff has a meeting scheduled on April 6th with MDOT, Eaton County Road Commission, the applicant, and the applicant's traffic engineering firm, Progressive. This meeting was requested by MDOT. The purpose of this meeting is to determine what, if any, additional information is needed before a decision is made regarding access to the roads and state of existing driveways. A clear path forward and required permits from MDOT and Eaton County Road Commission are required prior to issuance of the building permit for the main event building and under construction foundation. That's where MDOT and the Road Commission site plan review comments that I've already read into record come into play. At this time, MDOT is requiring the turning lane and the right shoulder lane area, but that could change with the updated traffic study that will be performed in June or July. And if, I'm going to clarify, if MDOT gives approval, we'll have to have it in writing, but if MDOT or the Road Commission give approval for construction of the building on the existing foundation pending that traffic study, which they could do and just require a bond to be put up for the construction that they're requiring, then we would be required to issue the building permit. Their scope of compliance just requires something in writing from the agency in which has the purview over what we're looking for. This change of condition request includes moving the already approved 24 cabins from the west side of the property to the east side of the property, construction and operation of the sledding hill, and construction and operation of a Rick House tasting room. Staff offers the following comments. Relocation of the cabins. The applicants are requesting to move the cabins from the southwest portion of the property to the east portion of the property. The layout, use, and size proposed for the cabins remains the same. Per the original application and approval, 2 private roads would be constructed for access to the proposed cabins. The Planning Commission may wish to require the proposed cabins be constructed in a manner where if the business closes, the property could be divided so that each home is located on a conforming parcel with the structures complying with the lot coverage and required setbacks to the road right-of-way. Side and rear property lines. Staff would be comfortable with an updated site plan being submitted prior to construction of the private road and cabins. Per staff conversation with Eaton Township, they are in favor of this suggestion. I want to address a couple of neighbor comments that were made regarding the potential division of this property with these cabins as they are proposed. If this business were to close, the applicants, the owners of the property, could divide the property by way of a condominium subdivision. It's just another way to divide property in which the auxiliary buildings would be used as shared space for that condominium subdivision. A shared septic system, because that was a concern raised as well, can also be considered a shared space for the condominium subdivision. Bloom Lake Estates, just right next to I-69 off Hartel Road in Benton Township, is a condominium subdivision that has a very similar system that is currently being proposed for this development. Sledding hill. The applicants are requesting to construct and operate a sledding hill on the property. While the sledding hill is shown on the site plan, setbacks to the property lines and structures are not shown. The Planning Commission may wish to require a new site plan showing the setback of the sledding hill. The Planning Commission may also wish to ask the applicants if the sledding hill would have the same operation hours as the event centers, which are 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., or if the operation of the sledding hill will be more limited. The Planning Commission may wish to ask if the sledding hill will be open while other events are taking place in the two approved event buildings. If so, the Planning Commission may wish to require additional parking for the operation of the sledding hill separate from the already proposed parking. The Rick House and Tasting Room. Before I read my staff comments, for anybody to get a liquor license from the Michigan Liquor Control Commission, they first need the zoning approval to take place. Eaton Township will be the deciding board on the liquor license. It is not the Eaton Township Planning Commission. It is not the Eaton County Planning Commission. It is the Eaton Township Board. They would need to be able to submit an approved conditional use permit allowing for that use, a letter of support from Eaton Township, and the application has to be signed by local law enforcement and the supervisor of Eaton Township. So the use of the property needs to be approved before they can actually apply for their liquor license. Rick House Tasting Room. In the application, the applicant states the size of the proposed Rick House Tasting Room is 60 by 180. The site plan shows the proposed building to be 60 by 150. Per staff's conversation with the applicants, the proposed Rick House Tasting Room will be 60 by 150. The requested use of this building is for storage of bourbon and tasting room only. If the proposed building and use is approved, the applicants will need to work with Eaton Township to obtain their required liquor license from the State of Michigan Liquor Control Commission, and the required license does not fall under planning and zoning review. Also offer further clarification that a distillery is not approved as a use on the property currently, nor is it proposed in this application in any way, shape, or form. Per the zoning ordinance, parking requirements for a commercial rec facility are one space for each of the 4 persons of maximum occupancy. The occupancy of each structure cannot be determined until the engineered serial drawings for the structures are received. The site plan shows 350 parking spaces with room for overflow if needed. It is staff's opinion the proposed parking may be sufficient for the structures and uses, but it does not provide enough parking for the use of the island. The Charlotte Fire Department is the authority to determine the occupancy allowed on the island. They have set the maximum occupancy on the island to 3,000 people. This would require an additional 750 parking spaces. Per staff's conversations with the applicants, they are working on an updated parking plan to be compliant with zoning ordinance requirements. The additional parking will be located to the west of and adjacent to the already approved parking area for the main event building. The Planning Commission may wish to use sections 9.3.6 and 5.3.3C included in the staff report to determine if this business meets zoning ordinance requirements and what, if any, conditions may be required. And I have never been so happy to say that that completes the staff report.
Right, thank you. Are there any questions for staff? Not right this minute? Okay. Seeing none, could we have the applicant come forward and add anything, state their case, however you'd like to state it?
Yeah, Judge, want to grab that. Good evening, Board. My name is Chad Crandall. I come before you again here on behalf of the quarry, asking for these revisions that have been put before you. There's been a lot presented tonight. You guys have absorbed a lot of information. I'll try to keep my end brief and leave it more for questions from you that you might have based on the information you received. Just a couple of things that I would like to reiterate is the three things that we're asking for are the relocation of the cottages, the short-term rental from the west side to the east side for a tasting room and bourbon tasting room in the property, and then also the sledding hill. You've heard, and to that extent, probably the most important thing that I'd like to convey, Brandy mentioned in the letters, is that we received every one of the concerns from the neighbors along this process. And we feel that what you see tonight and what the mitigation and the concern, and fixing the concerns that have been presented to us, we have taken very seriously each and every one of those, and think that we can propose a good way to handle those concerns. And I'll answer those individually if you like, but I know that those were already mentioned, so I don't want to go back over them again. The main concerns that we heard as a group were safety was mentioned over and over again. That's paramount to us. You know, we've operated in the community now for over 40 years in that neighborhood. And in that time, you know, we knew that the sand and gravel business is a tough business. It's a tough business for our neighbors. They have to put up with dust and noise and trucks. And we made every effort to work with our neighbors and coexist with them. We intend to do that moving forward. And saying that, you don't have to believe me, but we're here to say that we have to comply with all the zoning restrictions that this board places. And we're willing to do that, not only with what this board places, what with MDOT places, and with what the MLCC places. We're here to comply with those. Safety is paramount. In the documents, safety will be, there's going to be a safety plan addressed to the township and submitted for each event. Over 2,000 people, I think, is what's in there. That safety plan is going to be made up of both a private portion, which will be a lot of what's taking place on site for on-site security privately, also working with local law enforcement to handle mostly the traffic. That's the big thing, is traffic safety. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but we have representatives from our private contract folks with security for private, Total Security. They are here tonight. I won't bring them up yet unless there's anybody from the board that would have specific questions of them. I'm going to let, you know, I would ask that you ask those first. If you don't have any, I'm going to turn those folks loose tonight. So private firm, Total Security, who worked with the Auvenshine family at Hidden Creek Farms in the past, so there is a working relationship there. Obviously, they've never worked on our property before. They've been there, they've evaluated, and we're continuing to work with them for a safety plan for the project, including security. So does anybody have any questions for these guys at Total Security?
Sure.
Sir, I'm gonna ask, I got Greg and John here from Total Security if they want to come on up, and I'll let you direct any of those private on-site security or safety questions to them.
Frank, you want to go ahead first?
Okay, my question would be how familiar you are with this size of venue and the, how would you say, not population, but participants that would be there. Do you have a ratio of how many staff, your staff would be there for how many participants are in there?
Answer your first question, our company's done events as big as B93 Birthday Bash. Our company did your Billy Strings concert, the Bluegrass concert you had here. We've done security for 131, so we've done a little bit of everything, large, small. To answer your question on how many of our officers per attendees, generally we go 1 in every 500. And sometimes that fluctuates on the type of concert or type of event it is. So we do fluctuate that. When they propose or they bring the proposal to us for an event, we're going to negotiate that back and forth. And our main concern is, safety for everybody.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Sure. Scott.
Yes. Will there be security cameras that will be adequate to for the whole 200 and some acres coverage?
So we are currently in negotiations with them right now. We're doing site surveys and we'll be producing a proposal. Will give us a much greater line of sight, so we'll be able to see the whole property. But we're still working details out with them as the site continues to grow.
Okay, thank you.
Do you train your security? Are they ex-military, ex-police? What do you guys use?
No, well, we take a little bit of everybody, but, yeah, there is quite a bit of training that goes into each and every officer. So,
May I? One other thing too, I heard earlier there was a discussion about the security company and its ability to commingle with municipalities, and it's something that we're known for. We're a security firm. We do just about everything except cybersecurity. We have references in other cities and townships that we do business with, and we really, really work hand in hand with all the municipalities. We actually work with them hand in hand, bringing them in as a group, make sure that we're all on the same page of what we need and what they need from us.
Any other questions for the security? Great.
Okay.
Thanks, Jed.
All right, thank you, guys. Okay, thanks. Appreciate those questions, and it's paramount to us that private security is able to work with local law enforcement. Our intent is to try to pull in both Schlatt Police Department and with Eden County Sheriff's Department too. That would be our primary, that's who we want to support. They need the support right now, and we feel that this is an opportunity to do that. Very important to us. Those are issues of site safety and traffic safety. The MDOT study was talked about. That is being amended, and we will comply with whatever MDOT their final decision is, whether it be the turn lane or not. So, if there's any questions, I'd be glad to. The other issue is light wash. We've proposed all dark night lighting for the site. There was a question about lighting on the hill that came up after we made our response. Yes, we intend to only run that lighting when the operation of the hill is in place, so not all night or any times that there's, in the summer, whenever there's not an event, we will not be running that lighting. Something else is that we intend to landscape the east side of the sledding hill, which is the side of the hill that faces the Perky Road folks. Lighting then to be placed between the landscaping, the trees, terrace trees on the east side of the sledding hill, if you can picture that. Then lighting facing west towards the park, away from the neighborhood in an attempt to keep that light wash at a minimum. Yes, we did receive all the comments. The only comment that we didn't receive and that we just heard tonight was, I believe, Amy's on Bell Highway regarding the request for additional signage for no parking. We have no problem with that. We complied with supplying signage along Perky Road for no parking. We also would extend that to Bell Highway for those who wanted no parking signs in their lawns. I believe the other, I can't remember the other request that Amy had, but right here at this minute, but, sorry. So that, that would be lighting and safety and traffic. Landscaping and berming, as we have found, is a very effective tool for noise, light, dust, trash, the whole shooting match. As you guys have got this new site design in front of you, you'll see the berming along Perky Road with the trees on top, the additional layering of trees on the east side of the cottages here. That's all in an attempt to do those things that are the biggest concerns that we've heard. Those are the items that we're here for you guys tonight, is those three revisions. We were met with support at the township level. We're here tonight. We know this is a time of, this is an in-between time a little bit, but we're here to answer whatever questions you may have. So I'll go ahead and be quiet for a minute and be glad to take some questions.
Are there any questions of the applicant? Okay, Frank?
I was wondering about, we hear the numbers, so really the total numbers could be unlimited to what point? I guess my question is your security, maybe I should ask when they were here, is there like in this room, there's fire code and whatever, it limits to a certain number. Do you have somebody keeping track of numbers as they come, so it doesn't like just flood in?
I believe that our, our on-site people will be restricted by the fire marshal, basically. And
Right,
and so-
right,
So, and we would intend to comply with whatever they came up with for restrictions on size of events and appropriately size security and local law to match that.
So that would be in the case also for the ones who go on to, is it the island they're calling it? There's a certain number of people.
Correct.
They'll be
Yeah,
monitoring
that's,
that.
that's right now limited by the fire marshal to
Right.
3,000. So, yeah, we would not be able to hold, greater than that, on the island.
Okay.
Any other questions?
So one of the other concerns that was raised was the possibility of using snow making machines or snow clearing machines on that
Yep.
flooding zone. Can you speak to that a little bit?
I will, thanks. So if you will, so we've already talked that the east side of the hill, we'd like to landscape with terrace trees, keep the lighting on the west side of those trees to keep the light wash on. The snow equipment, the snow equipment there's a silent maker we're choosing not the blower giant hair dryer that you see on big ski hills. This is more of a quiet application, and it would be something that we would present to the zoning board with the specs on that. But it's it's intended to be a quiet maker, not a loud machine.
And would you limit the use of that equipment to the hours of operation, or would it be before or after?
The only thing I can say is it may need to run, if there was no snow and we needed to, I think even the hours that we've proposed, the reduced hours, I would be comfortable in saying we would limit it to run during those hours, yes.
So Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 8.
Right.
Friday, Saturday, 9 a.m. to 10, Sunday.
And Sunday, correct.
When we discussed the cottages for the first conditional use permit, we talked a bit about being a little bit separate, that there was nice acreage for it on the west side. And I'd like to know a bit about moving it to the east side.
Nope, no problem. So originally, this was the intended, or on the original site design, this is where we have it now. We moved it over to centralize all of our infrastructure basically in the southeast corner. It's a more efficient use of the space for us. The other thing that it does do that really hasn't been brought up is with the overflow of the 750 cars that go to the island. Instead of having 750 cars parking along the neighbors on Perky Road, light wash, car doors, engines, all that noise is now shifted to what I believe is the more noisy part of this operation is that traffic is now gonna be over on the west side of this property, away from the neighbors. So twofold, one was to help with the infrastructure, that everything would be centrally located, and the other was to bring the noise factor of that larger overflow parking to the west side of away from the neighbors.
Then would they still be sized so that the individual lots can be broken off and sold?
That's right. So it was a request of this board, actually, of the county, that the lots be developed as a size, should the project not go forward, that those could be sold as individual homes. And so that is correct. That still stands. That's not our intent. Our intent would be if the project didn't go forward, quite frankly, we would not leave something like this on the property. This would be something that would be removed and starting over from scratch. So, yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Very good. Question?
There was some concern about people sneaking into the sledding hill. I'm sure your signage will say private property, no trespassing.
Yeah. Always a problem. With private property is trespassing always. So, security cameras that will be on the site, will hopefully help address that. Signage, obviously no trespassing signage. The berms, kids are gonna climb berms. Can't drive in, but at least it keeps the car traffic out, but, yeah. So no unauthorized use. We're not gonna allow any authorized use during those hours of operation. To limit unauthorized use of that sledding hill would be, you know, the berm and signage, I guess.
Sure. Lisa.
I had a question about the sledding hill as well. There was, excuse me, comments about, I don't know, police systems or movement of people up and down the hill.
Yep.
To what extent is that going to be visible, noise, making noise, whatever, to residents? And at what point would we be seeing, like, I don't know, firm dimensions on the whole thing? Because right now it says that'll be provided by others, and we're being asked to make decisions on that.
Yep. So sledding hill is a magic carpet system. I'm not sure if very many of you are familiar with that. They implement it with the city of Lansing at Hawk Island. It's not a chairlift. It's not a raised system. There's no chairlifts dragging people up the hill. It's more of a, it's just like it sounds really. It's a carpet that's dragged up the hill with the kids and the tubes on it. Pretty minimal impact site distance. Our intent, again, is to have that structure lower than the trees that propose to be on the east side of that sledding hill. I'm sorry, I forgot you had a second part to that question too.
No, that was basically about that system.
Okay.
And we don't have much information because it just said that it would be provided by others.
Yep.
Any other questions? Sure, Scott.
What type of sledding are you planning on? Is it just tubes, or is it toboggans, or snowboards, or?
Our intention is just tubes, so it would work in conjunction with that magic carpet that the kids would come in, or the individuals come in and rent those tubes, and then for a set amount of time, just the same way that they operate at the one at Hawk Island in Lansing, only using our equipment, our tubes for that hill. So not letting the general public bring in toboggans or their own sleds or anything like that. Kind of keep a little better control of it.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of the application? If you'd like to come up and state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is DJ Kowak. I live at 1366 Christina Drive in Charlotte. I've been a Charlotte member for my entire life since 1987. As somebody who's hosted a large number of events and fundraisers in and around our community, I've worked with businesses and groups who chose to have these fundraisers or events or business events in Lansing as they could not find event venues that could either support their style or the theme of their event or things like that, or could handle their events. In a community that hosts and thrives off of some of Michigan's largest and favorite festivals and events, I've been in charge of finding or facilitating clean and quality lodging for vendors and supporters of these events, because unfortunately our current lodging options, as far as hotels and things like that, sometimes aren't as clean as people might want it to be, or they might have had previous poor experiences with that. So I know that having people look for lodging in communities outside of Charlotte while supporting festivals and events can keep these people from frequenting our restaurants and businesses while staying in said lodging. And I think that giving them the opportunity to have the short-term rentals gives those festivals and events that we have in our community options for lodging those people and letting those people that support those events and festivals to give a local way to support or to stay here and also spend their money in our community, which is always a good thing. I think that it's unfortunate having the events or community things that I've hosted go outside of our community. That's businesses in our communities or clubs in our communities that have to go outside of our community to host their event, which shouldn't happen, right? Every event and everything that we do in the community is different sizes. Every venue has different attractions and different things that keep those people and give them the use of that. So I think that giving the quarry the ability to change and adapt and work with the community to make their venue fit what our community needs is a good thing, and keeping all those people in our community. I think that as somebody who's used like short-term rentals, like if the cabins were to be used, you know, through a source like Airbnb or, you know, short-term rental companies, the people that use those things rely on reputation, reviews, and word of mouth to spread, you know, them and make sure that they get used. And I know that this group of people is going to do everything they can to make sure that their venue and their events and things like that are only hosting to people who are within that, you know, quality level of hosts and vendors, and so that they get more recommendations, and so the community doesn't, you know, get that kind of clientele that would hurt them or ruin their reputation. Because like we know, venues and wedding venues, things like that, they run off of word of mouth, reputation, and referrals. And if they're letting people in that don't live within their means and have support their values, that they won't get that word of mouth and reputation and referral. And I know that they're gonna do everything they can to make sure everybody's happy and that they have the right things moving forward. So I think giving them the ability to adapt and work with the community's, you know, things and change their site plan can only help them and help our community, and that's what I've got.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak in favor of the application? Okay, seeing none. If anyone would like to speak in opposition to the application? Come up and name and address for us.
Hi, my name is Sarah Polias, and I live at 4500 Long Highway, Eaton Rapids, Michigan. I've lived in Eaton Rapids my entire life, and I also have grown up in a rural community my entire life. And unfortunately, with rural community living, what that comes with is trying to stop these major developments happening, because people move to the country for that peace and quiet. And a few things I would like to touch on. Not only have there been deadly accidents at Stewart and Perky and Long and Perky and 50. One thing that has not been addressed is agricultural traffic. There is a Farm Bureau co-op that I'm sure we're all aware of. And because of the traffic on M50, Long Highway has really become a highway for agricultural traffic, which as a resident, I am completely fine with. Those people feed us. I'm completely fine with that. But we also see agricultural traffic on M50. How are we going to mitigate that? Because at this time, if you've been stuck behind a tractor on M50, you will know they are not met with friendliness from people passing in and out of our community. So that's something that I think needs to be addressed, because behind all these residential areas are farmland. And I mean, thank God for the farmland, but how are we gonna make sure that our friends and neighbors that are farmers can travel safely? My background is also with animal and human interactions, and I've seen our community rejoice that bald eagles have come back to our community. People are posting pictures, they're so excited over all this new biodiversity that we're seeing. If these proposed changes are upheld by you guys, we're going to see 100% a decrease in biodiversity. That will happen. And I have concerns for our agricultural community and for animal and human interactions, including deer versus people. We increase the amount of people that are coming in and out of this particular set of this community where we already have a lot of deer and car collisions. Okay. And increasing that, we're gonna increase that too. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak in opposition? please state your name and address? And I'll try to give you a little bit of heads up if you're getting
Yes, sir.
lengthy.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Adam Carroll. I reside at 877 South Perky Road. I want to speak tonight to, and I'm sorry, sir, Mr. Catron, and Ms. Lawitz's comments. The proposal that you approved back in October put these cabins on the west side of the property. It was originally proposed to the community members here before you tonight and to this board that there were going to be trees planted in the field along Perky Road and not where they're now putting their cabins at. That's going to be a direct impact to my property. This is directly across from my property. Mr. Avenshine came to me and said specifically that those would be trees, which would block wind, sight, sound. I don't believe for a second, to your comment, sir, that this was not the original plan. I honestly believe, and I want you to consider this evening, that this was the plan all along, that they came before you, told the community one thing, with a plan to put this in place the way they have it now, and were dishonest and not transparent about what they were planning on doing, and tried to slide this underneath the radar until we residents got wind of it and came before you. And Lisa, as you said, they haven't proposed everything. We have no idea how big this hill is. I can tell you, for living there on Perky Road for 10 years, there's a very strong westerly wind on a regular basis. This snowmaking machine could very well close off Perky Road when they blow snow at the top of that 40-foot hill, and it comes across with 20, 30-mile-an-hour winds blowing snow right across the intersection of Perky and Bell Highway. Commissioners, I ask that you deny this and you allow them to do what they originally planned and you've already approved. Thank you for your time.
Okay, is there anyone else that would like to?
Hello, my name is Catherine Clubb. I live at 935 South Perky Road, directly across from the development of the quarry. I do not approve the amendments to the conditional use permit. I, however, would like to give my remaining time to my husband, Eric, who will speak on behalf of both of us.
I'm going to grab this plan to point some things out real quick. Eric Clubb, 935 South Perky Road. I will be right here across from the sledding hill and the cabins. I wrote some stuff tonight that I'm going to skip over out of respect for how long this has gone, and I appreciate you guys all being here for so long. My main concerns tonight are the sledding hill. Last Thursday at the Eden Township Hall, 5 days ago, it was finally disclosed to us the hours of operation. It was told to us there it was going to be 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, 10 p.m. on Friday, until 6 o'clock on Sunday. Now it's 8 p.m. So again, things are changing. We've always had to be knees bent, ready for information that's not forthcoming, asking questions through this whole process, this last 2 weeks. They disclosed to us that the hill will be 45 feet tall. It's not in the plan. We don't know how tall it is. They could change it to be 50 feet, 40 feet, 35 feet. We don't know. I sat down on AI today and figured out how tall a berm would have to be to block the top of the hill, whether it's a berm and trees. A berm built across Perky Road from my house would need to be 22 feet tall to block the top of a 45-foot hill. It's just tonight we found out what their plans were. My original thought was that this right here was going to be the part they sled down because they don't give us any information. Now it's coming down this way. Makes me feel a little bit better. But what I'd like to point out is they talk about centralizing everything for their plan, making it a good business, right? I would assume that this is going to be something that's going to be used for their tree farm, Christmas time, families coming together. Makes sense, right? Why wouldn't it be over here in this whole area by the drive?
I'm sorry, Mr. Clubb. You do have to speak into the microphone because people online can't
Fair
hear
enough.
you.
I approve
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to point that out. You can see where I'm pointing at. I don't see the and I know you can't, I don't know how you would condition it, if it needs to be denied and have them reapprove it, if you can make it a condition as part of this process, but to me, it would make sense to pull it on the other side of Mary's House, what they call it, and the Barn Event Center to make it centralized. It also pulls it further away from Perky Road. It creates another round of barriers beyond the berm and the trees with the buildings to prevent light and noise disturbances. The other thing I'd like to bring about is people don't sled down a hill quietly. They scream. When I go sledding with my kids at different hills around town in the daylight, we're screaming going down these hills. If that's something that's happening at 9:30 at night, 200 feet from my house, I'm going to hear it at the top of the hill. It's going to be something that's not going to be avoidable. Trying to go quickly here. So I'd like to stipulate the hill be moved. I'd like you to consider that there be no lights placed on the hill, that it can operate during daylight hours. I'd like you to consider that maybe the hours of operation be reduced to 7 p.m., maybe 8 p.m. every night so that we don't have those late night disturbances. I'd like to stipulate that, he already said, so again, some information I found out tonight, but I do appreciate that the lights will not be on the hill when customers are not using it, but these are all stipulations that I believe have to be stipulated by you so that we could hold them accountable as the neighbors. I don't disagree with what they're doing. I like the idea of some of the things that they're proposing, but we also have to be able to ensure that we have recourse as neighbors to their property for when things go wrong. There's no guarantee that they will be the managers of this property forever. They could sell, new managers could come in. We have to have protections in place for whoever may come in as well. So thank you for your time tonight. Oh, yeah, I can make it, sorry. Yeah.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
My name is Samantha Carroll. I live at 877 South Perky Road, directly across from the quarry, and I am also in opposition to the amended changes tonight, but I would like to give the rest of my time to our neighbor, John Novetsky.
I'm going to set a timer because I tend to get long-winded. So that might help with my own personal stress. My name is Jonathan Novetsky. I'm on 4380 Bell Highway. I just wanted to thank my wife for being home with our kids, and I love you. So, sorry, that one's for me. I'm not going to address some of the conditions. I have appreciated the conditions that you've brought. It does show that they're willing to hear the residents. I wish it could have been earlier, but it is what it is. I've appreciated quite a few things. So I'm taking those off of my list because I already have those. So if the Planning Commission is inclined to approve this amendment, I respectfully request for these conditions. A firm cap on occupancy for the cabin size, which I believe would be required. No further expansion permitted with the cabin size allowed. Pardon me for just a moment here. I'm going to move forward through stuff we already covered. As far as the strict noise and lighting control, including I do appreciate the quiet hours, but also adding a normal best practice decibel level for those quiet hours. The residential and Royal recommendation is 45 decibels for those quiet hours to be enforced, would be my recommendation. And then a new independent traffic study to include Bell Highway, Stewart Road, M50, Island Highway, Hartel Road, which all is a big gateway for I-69 to get a better understanding of the traffic during those peak times, which I know MDOT slightly did cover. So I appreciate them acknowledging that. And then as far as any additional, changes to the amending of the permit, to have a 1-year setback provision. So a 1-year sunset provision that doesn't allow for additional changes, just to give time to see how the residents are acting to this new change. My letter talks more directly to that, which was already spoken, so I'm not going to talk to that. The noise, excuse me, I was more prepared, but they did cover a lot of the things that were there. The sledding hill, so I did want to address the sledding hill. As far as the machine for the snow, that's new to me. I would like to see a limit again with the same sound ordinance that you would have for the residential rural area, which would be the 45 decibels, that it would need to comply with that during the regular operating periods that are operating for the business. Nothing more than that. And let me see here. Man, I'm so much better when I don't have to read my own chicken scratch here, so appreciate you putting up with me. I'm missing something, but it's not on my notes, so I'm just gonna have to go with it. Those would be the conditions past what I already brought to the attention in my letter that was written and read earlier. So that's what I would, and I'm not gonna read the ones that were already touch base. So I would just like to address the owners, you know, just to be mindful of, these are our families, you know, we have little kids. We don't want drunk people, just like you wouldn't want drunk people in your backyards, you know? There's so much of that risk that you're not gonna be able to remove. So if you would just be mindful that these venue sizes, and keeping us residents involved, so we don't have to be reactive, because when we talk about being a good neighbor, the way it was done didn't feel good. I did want to address the 700. Yeah, it looks like I have oh, yeah, you're right, sorry. 751 parking spots. As far as not moving the cabins to the new location, that can't actually be used as a reason why it's a good spot for it, because it's not a part, as far as I understand, of the amendment. So unless it's a part of the amendment, that would be also a capacity change that would need to be reviewed based on the amount of cars. And then the independent traffic studies require a 3-person per car. So if you do the math on that, that would be 2,253 people additional on top of the already allowed space. So,
Your time is up.
okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak?
Russell Rogers from 5870 Island Highway. I'm just gonna, a lot of the stuff I wanted to talk about is already brought up. I have a hard enough time getting out on Island Highway as it is. And you open up one of them, you know, an event, it makes it a whole lot worse. There isn't a week that goes by I don't have emergency people flying by my house because there's an accident somewhere on Island Highway. I'm glad that agriculture's never been brought up yet. That is a big thing with me. I mean, we're not in the Stone Age. We're not pulling two-row planters down the road. We're talking 8-row planters going down the roads. We're talking a lot of grain and stuff going to the feed mill. You got a lot of people that out there that have no common courtesy at all to the farmers. That, you know, I've had people pass at the top of my hill because they couldn't wait 3 seconds for me to turn in the driveway. They're passing on a hill. I understand too that MDOT has only allowed 5 years for the parking area over where the current lake is. Where are they gonna move that to if it's not approved? Scuttlebutt has it, they're gonna move it over on Flanders, which will make that another traffic zone. High traffic, more accidents.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Can we go back to 4?
I'm gonna leave just after all the negatives on, or all the people against, then we'll let Chad do a rebuttal if he wants. Anyone else? Okay, Chad, do you have anything to say to any of those?
I appreciate a couple of the comments that were just made. Jonathan, I appreciate your time on that. I greatly do. Paramount for us to be mindful. I like that word, and that's our goal. How do you quantify that in a conditional use permit, or how do you put mindful in a provision? You can't. That's how we operate. I'm here to tell you that's our history of how we operated. We plan on operating in a mindful state to our neighbors. I appreciate this board. I'm during this rebuttal time. I don't know if there's any other questions that want to be asked. I know Sean would like to say something, so I'm going to give just a minute of my 3 minutes, I guess, to Sean for a rebuttal. But thank you again. We plan on being mindful. Thank you for your consideration. So thanks. Sean, go ahead.
No, that's okay.
You
Actually,
good?
Mr. Credo, you said it all.
Okay. All right. I'll take my minute back. But again, thank you for the board. Thank you for the time. Thank you, neighbors. This is not an easy situation. We appreciate you coming out. This is part of democracy. This is why we're here. We're here to talk about it. We're not trying to avoid those discussions. We want to have those discussions, so we appreciate that. It's hard to agree on everything. We're going to try. We're going to try to be mindful to agree on as much as we can to minimize the impact on you folks' lives. Hopefully make it better in some way. Okay. So yeah, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Chairman Ross, if I may let you know, I'm not going to read this letter of communication in support into record because I'm concerned that it was received on my personal cell phone, and I don't know how said person got my personal cell phone number, but it is a letter of support from a Ms. Keisha Howe, president of the Charlotte Rotary Club. So I just wanted to let you know that I received it, but the chain of command is inappropriate. It should not be sent to my personal cell phone.
Okay, we'll close the public portion of the hearing and deliberate amongst the commissioners.
There'd be a lot of hate over this sledding hill. It's kind of, that'll be fun for me and the grandkids, but neighbors don't. I don't know what we're gonna do about that.
Chairman Ross, would it be helpful if I went through some of the requested conditions and let you know what could and cannot be applied per the land use policies of the zoning ordinance?
If you think it's necessary.
Randy, before we do that, can I just ask you a quick question?
Absolutely.
Been on the planning commission for quite some time now. I've read the zoning ordinance in depth, as you might expect. I do not recall any conditions or anything requiring approval for a sledding hill. Is there anything in our zoning ordinance that would allow us to regulate that?
It's the use that's open to the public for a fee, so it does meet the definition of a commercial recreation facility. There is a height requirement in the zoning ordinance of not more than 40 feet. So the sledding hill cannot be more than 40 feet. The only thing that has not been addressed by the applicants are the setbacks of the sledding hill to the property line. So I would still be looking for information on the height and the setbacks to the property lines. I also want to, in the interest of transparency, when the query was going through the questions and concerns of the neighbors, they actually sat with me and gave me their proposed this is what we want to self-impose on conditions. The Sunday hours, the suggested extra 2 hours, was proposed by myself, specifically in case school was closed or there was a snow day or something of that nature. They don't intend to be open every Sunday until 8, but they didn't want to block it in case there was a snow day or an opportunity for children to slide.
Any other questions? Sure.
So I have a similar question for staff. So I guess I would just love to hear anything you can tell me about noise monitoring, how maybe that's taken place in the past.
It's not a land use policy, and we don't have a legal viable noise ordinance in Eaton County that can be enforced. It wouldn't be enforced by the zoning administrator or code enforcement officer. It would be a police powers ordinance. It would have to be enforced by local law enforcement if one were in place.
Thank you.
Any other questions, concerns, thoughts?
The setbacks of the hill are gonna be, there's already policy for setbacks.
It would be considered an auxiliary use or accessory use, limited ag property. The setbacks to side property lines, side and rear property lines is 10 feet. Just by looking at the scale on their site plan, they do have a scale on their site plan. We could calculate it out, but it is easier for the public to understand with clear visions. Another thing to note is that everything that they want to do is regulated beyond just this board and the land use policy. Asking MDOT to include certain roads or the road commission to include certain roads in the traffic study, that is the purview of MDOT and the road commission. We don't govern MDOT or the road commission. They tell us what requirements to put on the land use to comply with before it's performed. The sledding hill will have to be engineered. It's not just going to be a mound of dirt. It will have to be engineered, it will have to be inspected. So before they actually construct that sledding hill, it has to go through plan reviewed, sealed drawings, which include the magic carpet ride, the lighting, the everything, has to be submitted to the construction code department for plan review prior to actual construction.
Okay, I'm going to push you one more time on the sound piece. So I believe we had some conversation related to some other projects related to sound studies. Am I right? Okay.
From the neighbors that got up and spoke, and I know I read all of those in the record, but they were kind of a blur. And I read them as I received them, I promise I did. But from the neighbors that got up and spoke, conditions that the planning commission would require, imposition of security cameras. The security team and Crandall both said that there would be security cameras. Where are they going to be located on the property? That could be added to the site plan. Lighting when the hill is in operation. So no lighting on regarding the sledding hill if the hill is not in operation. That the snow machine can't be in operation outside of the approved business hours. The landscaping on the east side of the sledding hill, that is something that the planning commission can require. The fencing, the lighting facing west, the planning commission can require that. The signs on Bell Highway, the planning commission could put that in there as an additional condition as approved by the road commission, because the road commission does have to approve the location of no parking signs. So you can make it a condition, but only if it's approved by the road commission. To address the snowmaking machine, and I'm sorry, I tried taking and to address the noise. Oh, one of the questions that was asked was, the planning commission could place a condition that does not allow for any additional ask for a year. That is something the planning commission could put on there. As far as transferring to another owner, our Eaton County zoning ordinance does not allow for a property conditions to change or for the ownership to change without it going through additional approval. Anytime the ownership change or the site plan changes, they're required to submit an application to the zoning authority even when it becomes Eaton Township, that's going to be written in their zoning ordinance. So if they sell the property, they're going to be required to go to Eaton Township and submit whatever application Eaton Township has, and Eaton Township is going to be required to comply with PA 110 of 2006 as far as the notification requirements. And all notifications that went out to neighboring property owners did comply with PA 110 of 2006. We always put more details in that notification when it is a change. The use has already been approved. This is what they are further asking for, because it is something different than what was previously approved. So hopefully I've helped.
Randy, could you say a little more, or maybe I've misunderstood, about the sledding hill? So it has to be approved by a body, obviously beyond us, engineered drawings, all of that has to be submitted. So we could put in something pending approval of the sledding hill final engineering documents? Or
So they're not going to be able to build it without sealed drawings that comply with the 2021 building code, and there's actually a whole nother amusement area code where the state of Michigan does get involved with that. The only thing for the zoning ordinance that staff is recommending is details on the setback and the height of the hill. The hill is not going to be able to exceed 40 feet per the zoning ordinance.
so pending your staff review of a site plan?
Of a updated site plan submitted with the setbacks and the height, yes.
Got it.
Sure, Scott.
Yes, Brandy, for, on the highway situation, is MDOT responsible for, like Clinton Trail, as far as maybe lowering the speed limit in that section, or putting in blinker lights on the two corners of the two highways?
That would be MDOT, and that would have to be a request from Eaton Township. I can tell you from some of the other hats that I wear that getting that request approved through MDOT can be a little cumbersome and difficult. It has to meet a certain level of unsafe conditions before MDOT will rise to that occasion. And then you're looking at, well, even though they recommend it, whose responsibility is to put those lights in? At this time, MDOT's recommendation is for the left turn lane and the right tapers to help. A lot of the conversation had at our March 6th meeting was talking about the potential to slow traffic coming from Charlotte to the site and not being able to turn in fast enough depending on the traffic coming from Eaton Rapids towards the site. That was the request for the left turn lane. The right taper is to allow traffic to leave smoothly. And again, in the self-imposed conditions, MDOT will know when there's any event that has over 2,000 people. They're required to get a permit. They're required to submit that permit to Eaton Township Hall 30 days prior to the event. They're also required to have a contract with local law enforcement. A contract means they're paying for those services. That is not the burden of the public. That is not the burden of the people. And they had it worded to local law enforcement. Their intent is to use Eaton County, and if Eaton County is not available, Charlotte or Eaton Rapids or Potterville, or they want to keep, or MSP. They want to keep their options open in case one is not available. They will always have one that is.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Sure.
Another thing that came up is I guess, noise and activity around the cabins, the rental properties, especially since it's been moved closer. Is it appropriate for us to put conditions like quiet hours on rentals? Is that possible?
Yeah, the planning commission could propose quiet hours, but do that with caution, as we don't have a noise ordinance in Eaton County. And it's not a land use policy that can be enforced, even after it goes to Eaton Township. But you can, in fact, recommend quiet hours.
Any other discussion?
Just in terms of discussion, I think my main issue is also with the site plan for number 7 on the sheet index. So I think it'd be helpful to indicate, obviously, the height and setbacks, but also the direction of the sledding hill, placement of some of the mechanical features. Mr. Crandall mentioned trees. I think it'd be great to have some of the vegetative pieces indicated on that as well. So I think also just, in terms of when we make a potential motion, I think it'd be important to include some of the concerns around the sledding hill. So the lights would be off when the sledding hill was not in operation. I thought that was a key one that someone mentioned. So I think formalizing a few of those things related to sledding hill is probably important.
You're saying you think we ought to request that a site plan for, an updated site plan for, subject to an updated site plan for page 7? Is that what you said?
Yes, I think that's what I'm.
And then specifically add in sledding hill hours, buffering, snow machine.
Yeah, I think all the mechanical features that we typically would require in a site plan, I think some of those are sort of left to further be developed, but I think as indicated here, there's desire for transparency, understand what can be expected, so I think that's important just to understand the orientation of the sledding hill. Placement of lights, I think, would be important. I don't know if there are other thoughts on that. I mean, we've talked about lighting plans for other facilities in the past. Maybe in terms of that fixture being above the berm, maybe something like that. Understanding where the lighting might be important.
Randy, is that 40 feet above grade, or is that 40 feet in total?
40 feet above grade.
Above grade, okay. I've been taking pretty good notes, so when we're ready, I think I have a motion for you.
Sure. Right.
What I've heard people talk about is from the original approval to what the changes are. I understand that seemed like they put it under the table and stuff, and I don't know. I can understand something being progressively developed, but it seemed like it should have been, developed in principle way before the first approval for these types of things that we're talking about changing to. So that's, I don't know, just a comment. I seen Scott had a question too.
Sure, Scott.
On the snowmaking machine, will that be able to be used after the lights are out or during the nighttime hours?
They said that it would only run during the business hours of the hill, I guess, the sledding hill. So I think that's a no to your question, I believe.
Yes, I guess it would be, but I guess, if they're using the slope at the time, I don't think that they really want to be blowing snow on everyone that's using it. I was wondering if it was going to be after hours to take and build up the snow level.
I think they voluntarily said they weren't gonna run it after hours, so.
Okay, thank you.
I think that's some of the stuff we need to incorporate. They're voluntary things they're gonna do, and that's one of them. Any other questions, concerns? Beefs, bitches? Sure.
They mentioned decibel ranges, I think like 49 or whatever it was, 45 or 49. What does that equate to as far as other pieces of equipment or something such as a lawnmower or something?
Randy, you want to address that?
It doesn't matter because it's not a land use policy. We do not have the authority to regulate it. Eaton County does not have a noise ordinance. It's a police powers ordinance. Eaton Township could choose to create a noise ordinance, but we do not currently have one.
Thank you.
Anything else, anyone?
You ready?
I think so.
All right, so I move that we approve CU-10-25-9 with the following conditions. Number one, that for any of, and these are largely the self-imposed conditions, but we'll read them into record. One, for any event on the property with planned attendance over 2,000 persons, the quarry shall, 30 days prior to the event, submit contracts permits for the event to the local zoning authority at the time the event is held from the following agencies. MDOT road closure permit, contract with local law enforcement to police the site during the event and control ingress and egress to the site before and after the event. Contract with security firms overseeing the site during the event. Contract with Charlotte Fire Department. Contract with local EMS. Number two, a centralized safety plan for all uses in the entire property shall be developed and approved by way of signature from the chief official from all agencies listed under item 1. That plan shall be complete by July 1st of 2026. Construction of proposed berms and correction of the existing berms along Perky Road will begin the week of April 13th, 2026. Construction correction of the berms will be complete by September 1st of 2026. Point number 4, a landscape plan compliant with Article 17 of the Eaton County zoning ordinance for the proposed corrected berms along Perky Road and the sledding hill shall be submitted by June 20th for review or an approval. All planting shall be completed by the spring of 2027. All exterior lighting shall be dark sky compliant. That's point number 5. Point number 6, private road applications for those private roads mentioned in the cabins will be submitted by the end of April 2026. Number 7, a surety bond in the amount of $10,000 for trash and debris shall be in place in favor of Eaton Township. All trash shall be cleaned up from the Clinton Trail, M50, Perky Road, Stewart Road, and Island Highway within 48 hours after an event is held. Quarry website will have a link for questions and concerns. Any communication received will be responded to within 48 hours. Business cards with the direct contact for the manager of the quarry shall be mailed to neighboring property owners who request said card. If approved by the Eaton County Road Commission, no parking signs will be installed along Perky Road and Bell Highway at the cost of the quarry. That's point 10. Point 11 is the sledding hill hours of operations, including operations of any snow moving or snow making equipment, are as follows. Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Friday and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. In addition, lights are not to be run when customers are not actively using the hill. This motion is point number 12, a new point number 12, is pending staff approval of a site plan which shows the additional 750 parking spaces as required by the potential occupancy of the island, and also pending staff review of the sledding hill site plan, which should include setbacks and height, all lighting, berming, and orientation of the hill, how it is to be used, documented firmly on the site plan. And point number 13, a one-year prohibition of changes to the conditional use permit goes into effect as soon as the updated permit is issued. Lisa?
Zach, can you repeat item 12 for me, please,
Sure.
regarding the sledding hill site plan?
Yes, so that's pending your staff review of the sledding hill site plan with setbacks for the sledding hill, the height of said hill, all lighting, berming, and orientation of the hill as used.
You also had the parking.
Right, so that was the sledding hill. Do you need the parking part as well? You also need the parking part?
Yes.
Okay, the parking part is also staff approval of the site plan showing the additional 750 parking spaces as required for the occupancy of the island.
Yep, I got that.
Okay.
That's already on the site plan.
Okay,
It's one of the newer updated site plans.
there you go.
Thank
So
you
that
so
part's
much.
already checked off. Lisa?
Adding the location of security cameras to the site plan.
Are you asking if Commissioner Dillinger would accept that as a friendly amendment to his motion?
We talked about that.
Would you have a support, Ben supporting that?
Okay. I'm okay with that. I mean, as long as we have support, we're good, right? Okay. I'm okay with that. I would consider that to be more part of the safety plan, the centralized safety plan that would show those cameras. So, I mean, that's kind of already included under 2. I'd be happy to modify the motion to make sure that that's specified, but I would consider that part of the safety plan.
Do they want it known where all of them are at either?
Well, that's also true.
So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not into
No,
the
that's
security
fair.
thing,
That's
but.
fair. That would have been a good question for the security contractors.
So we have a motion, support. Did you want that amended in there, or you?
No, I'm good with, yeah, considering that part of the safety and security plan.
Okay. So we have a motion to support. Any further discussion or clarification of anything?
So I wonder if we want the addition of a .14 to include potential signs on Bell Highway?
Well, that's part of
I think he's,
Oh, I'm sorry.
number 10. If approved by the Eaton County Road Commission, no parking signs installed along Perky Road and Bell Highway.
I think if they wanted, is what the homeowner wanted. At one point in time said if somebody, the homeowner wanted it. It's not down on.
I don't have that as a note. I'm happy to amend if that's,
I mean, I just don't.
Yeah.
We can end up.
The applicants are willing to place it on Bell Highway if approved by the Eaton County Road Commission. The homeowner would have to reach out to the applicant, or the applicant will reach out to the homeowners within the 300 feet. They may be willing to go further, but the notification requirements per PA 110 of 2006 is 300 feet from the property line, so.
We're not requiring to put it in there if the homeowner doesn't want it, that,
Correct.
okay.
okay, so modify point 10 then, if approved by the Eaton County Road Commission and requested by homeowners,
Yes.
no parking signs.
You good with that then? Any other discussion? Seeing none then, could we have a roll call vote?
Scott Hansen,
Yes.
Ben Terrell,
Yes.
Lisa Lewitsky,
Yes.
Ray Whitaker,
Yes.
Yes.
Ed Kemp,
Yes.
Tim Catron,
Yes.
Zachary Dillinger,
Yes.
Frank Holmes,
No.
Ryan Ross.
Yes.
To the applicants of the quarry, that means that your conditional use permit change of conditions request has been approved. As I have communicated to you, your conditional use permit will look slightly different than in years past. Having a professional full-time planning and zoning administrator is not something that Eaton Township may have the pleasure of having. Your conditional use permit refers back to your applications and meeting minutes and things of that nature. This one will list everything that you have been approved to do by the first meeting, all of your hours of operation, what can and can't be built, what you're still required to give, what we still have to approve. It will probably end up being like a 6 or 7 page conditional use permit application. That is for the ease of the residents to read it and understand it, and for the ease of Eaton Township to read it, understand it, and enforce it.
Okay. What else you got for us, Brandy? PA 116 applications?
No, I'm still looking for my agenda.
Okay.
Thanks. No, we don't have any, thank you.
Other business?
No, sir.
Department and Construction Code, Planning and Zoning reports?
I gave a report last month. I'm giving a report tomorrow, so I forgot to send that to you. I do apologize. Things have been going well. Actually, planning and zoning has been more busy right now than it has in years past at this time. With the planning and zoning ending on June 30th, I'm finding that I have a lot of new junk in zoning complaints. They do in fact have to be opened and inspected, no matter that we're closing out planning and zoning at a county level on June 30th. In more applications from residents, from lot line adjustments to lot combinations to land divisions, and use requests. You guys will in fact have a full meeting on June 2nd, and it might have 5 applications, and you already have 4 to be heard in May. We're not usually this busy, this fast, so it is making an impact.
No zoning ordinance committee meeting?
No.
Board of Appeals, they did not have a meeting tonight.
Correct. They did not have a meeting tonight due to lack of business. They do have a meeting on May 5th.
Okay. Public comments, are there any comments anyone would like to speak? Okay, seeing none. Upcoming cases, you said we have 5 for May.
Yes, sir.
Great. And
Let me make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
we have a motion.
Support.